Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Overdose 3, your weekly overdose of entertaining stuff. Okay, everybody say hi to Shawn Shank.
What's
He
up?
hates everybody.
Hello,
Uh,
Shawn.
and we got Latuzek, and we all know he's simply the best. And Tim, the yellow bus, who just came back to show us his hairy nipple. Ooh.
Awesome.
So we were just talking about this, but the subject came up of can you be friends with an ex? And I don't know. What do you guys think?
I think it varies. I mean, like I'm really good friends with my ex-wife. But
That's because you have to be, though.
I mean, I guess you don't really have to be. I mean, you do it for the kids, I guess. But I mean, I have a better relationship with her now that we're not married than when we were married.
See, a lot of people say that.
It's just like some things aren't meant to be, and it's like we can have a conversation, and I don't want to tell her to go fuck herself, and
That's
that's always a good place to start.
I mean, I don't know. It's odd. I mean, like mostly everyone I've dated, I mean, I guess it's pretty much everyone. Period. I don't keep in contact with. I'm not the type to keep in contact with basically anybody. So I mean, like an ex is just kind of that. I mean, the only time I think you can really be friends with an ex is it when you put the S in front of that, and that's involved. Seriously.
That's
I mean,
funny.
if you're sexing the ex, and so that's the only way that it really is.
That needs to be a slogan for something. There needs to be a product with your face on it, and that slogan somewhere on it.
sex in the accent.
Sex in the ex and
I may get something totally obscure, like a cleaning product or something.
toilet paper.
It's a weird thing to mix, but yeah, no, I think you're right because I mean, I think I've seen it both ways. I mean, I personally don't have any relationships with any of my exes, but that's mostly because they've all been fucking psychos. But I think everyone says that about exes that they don't get along with, and really it's just incompatibility, right? Like it's a limitation. Some people just they don't get along, and that's okay. But yeah, there's a lady I work for. Tim knows her really well, and I won't disclose her name for her own personal privacy. But she gets along great with her ex-husband. They are so much better now that they're divorced than they were before, and I've heard stories. So, but it's cool. Like they get along really well, and anytime she needs help with a project, he's right there, and vice versa. So it's cool that they're helpful that way. But like, and I've talked about this a little bit too with our own dad. Like, is it better for couples to stay together for the sake of the kids, or be apart and be more healthy? And I don't know. There's a lot of opinions on that. What do you guys think about that idea?
I mean, going through it, my point is, I mean, my parents were married for, I don't know, who even cares? I mean, it doesn't really matter. But I mean, and they shouldn't have been. They shouldn't have been. And with me and my ex-wife, it was, getting divorced was probably one of the best things. We both moved on. We're both happy. And it was better for both of us. I mean, why have the kids go through? Is it better to have kids go through and see mom and dad fighting all the time and hating each other, and then that's kind of the way they look at relationships? Or is it better to see mom and dad move on and find a healthy relationship and be happy? I mean, I think that's the thing. It's hard on kids, of course, to be separated and not have mom and dad together and that kind of shit. But I mean, overall, I think 99.9% of the time, if it's not working, get the fuck out.
Yeah, I think I feel like I share that thought because ultimately I think the big obstacles to overcome, and the thing that's always pointed out in psychology journals and shit like that is the constant regular influence of both of the sexes, male and female, and I think that's the point that people bring up a lot. But I agree that over the long run, kids with especially younger kids are going to have a hard time dealing with that more abstract concept that I have a mom and I have a dad and they both love me, but they love each other, but not in a way that is suitable for a marriage. I think that's hard for kids to get. But aside from that, though, moving past that, going forward, I think in the long run, in the totality of the picture, you're right. If you see, I feel like it does develop your sort of your worldview on relationships, because those people who are crazy, fucked up, like super like everyone met at least one person or dated a person like this where they're super insecure, and like I think that's natural in that first year, 2 years, where like you're really laying out the cards with somebody. But there are people who, like, it doesn't matter what you do or how long you could be around them, like, they're just this neurotic, nervous, always untrusting type of personality. Well, that's probably sculpted by some either A, bad prior experiences personally, or witnessing that shit day in and day out in their own parents' relationships, and usually I think it's the latter.
Well, my personal opinion is, and anybody can correct me if I'm wrong here, is that it seems like the trend and what everybody's saying here is that it's much easier to become friends with that ex when there's kids involved, because there's obviously that you're all a part of each other's lives whether you like it or not. My wife and I were separated for 3 years, and for a while headed down what we both thought was the path of divorce. And oftentimes, I still ask myself, was I pushing more to be a better person to get back together with her, or was it really that I just wanted to see more of my son? You know, and that's so. Like I said, I mean, it's not for everybody, but it seems like if there was no kids involved, there's really not much reason to, unless it was one of those people that happened to be your friend before you wound up getting together. You know, and then you decide to remain friends afterwards. But the thing that I see is that, you know, so it just seems to be the, you know, kind of the going thing. You know what I mean?
You're right. Yeah, kids does completely change it, because I think that, I mean, it's like anything. It's circumstantial. It depends on the personalities and the people involved. Because I think there's plenty of people too who don't have kids that stay actively involved in each other's lives afterwards. But I would say that, in that vein of thought, though, it's probably the exception and not the rule, and that unless, you know, there are kids involved keeping you together, like, okay, Shawn, if kids weren't involved, would you talk to your ex whatsoever after the divorce?
No, I probably would have never had anything to do with her. And probably, and you know, it was the same thing, you know? I mean, it is. I mean, anybody else I dated, I mean, they could be dead now and I have no idea. That's how little I know.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not Facebook friends with them. I don't.
But you know, that the funny thing, and for our viewers out there, Shawn's like that in general. Like, if you don't call Shawn, he will never talk to you ever again, and it's nothing you should take offense to. Like, if I don't text or call Shawn regularly, I won't hear from him for months. But here's the thing, though, is I'm kind of the same exact way, and I think Shawn knows that especially too, because sometimes when he doesn't hear from me for months, it's just because I you know, whatever. Like, but it's that type of relationship where we can pick up right where we left off type thing. But and shit, Tim, like you and I mean, I think we didn't talk for all of 7th grade just because I was going through a weird thing and I was at a different school.
To say the least.
Well, like, weird thing, it's not like I was, I don't know, like, you know, masturbating to chicken porn or something. It was that
Tim thought it was a necrophiliac for.
I really liked guys, and then I realized I really did it.
No, Tim was just Tim naturally didn't get into a lot of trouble, and the stuff that he did get in trouble was just typical, you know, kid shit.
I didn't get caught.
And the stuff that I was getting in trouble for was a lot more hardcore. I was shoplifting. I was doing drugs. I was doing things that a normal 13-year-old shouldn't be doing, and I was a really bad influence. So we kind of just we didn't talk for like a whole year. But like 8th grade, that's when I remember Taco Bell Club starting, and we used to go to Taco Bell every Friday. Yes. Because the weird thing is my school stopped off at Winston to pick up the other kids. So, like, my school got done like 45 minutes earlier than the other schools, but it didn't fucking matter because we had to go and wait on you guys to get out of school. Like, sometimes we'd get there like literally almost like 25 minutes before you guys were out of class, and we just sat in the fucking parking lot waiting for you. So that's when Taco Bell Club started, and we started hanging out again. But anyways, that's my point. It's like I'm the type of person where, I hate to say it, but it's almost like if you're of no immediate use in my current relationships or whatever, you don't have some kind of immediate value, then I it's not like I say fuck you, you're out the door, although I have done that with people that let me say this though, it's been under different circumstances. It's not for no reason. Like, I fall out of touch with people because it's just my personality, but it's not because I don't like them or don't care about them. It's just that's just what happens. So, like, it sounds funny, but when I got Xbox Live, that's when I started seeing and hanging out with Tim more, because Tim went off to school to Arizona after our senior year of high school. So, like, for what was it, Tim? Like a year, 2 years, like, I talked to you once every few months, maybe on the phone or something, but like it wasn't until I got Xbox Live and we started hanging out and playing video games again that I actually got to hang out with you regularly. Right?
He's like, fuck you, you're not my friend, you asshole.
It's like,
then he
that's
logs
it. That's it. I am done with you, man.
I'm done with
Seriously.
you, bastard. Why are you sharing these stupid stories?
I hate you.
You mean I'm of no value?
No value. Fuck you and your value.
Whoops! What happened there?
I don't know what happened. No, I was asking you a question, and then there was no answer, and then you were just gone.
It just kicked me out and said I lost connection, but yet I never lost internet connection. I apologize. What was the question?
No, I don't know exactly how to rephrase it. It was basically that.
It was more like an affirmation of the previous 5 minutes of what he was talking about. That's really what it was. You know, you got done with the thing, and then he was like,
"Oh, you're going to rant about how unless you have an immediate interest in someone."
Well, right.
And
the other thing too is like accessibility.
Oh, Xbox Live, that's right.
And the Xbox Live. It was the accessibility, because I'm not really great on the phone. I don't know if it's from years of playing in bands and my hearing's a little bit fucked up like my dad's, but I don't do well on the phone. I need social cues. So yeah, it's just weird. Like I would never call Tim up.
It's not great fun though either, because I was the same way until I moved back out here from Michigan a few years ago, and then you guys got me. Carrie and I both got newer phones, and then we just sort of jumped on the bandwagon and started texting. But honestly, I probably would have talked to you guys like 99% less if I didn't get on the bandwagon and start with texting, because I never talked to anybody. So I was the same way. I was becoming that person that you're talking about, where I just wouldn't talk to somebody for like a year or something. And then when I realized how long it had been, I was like, yeah, I don't know if I want to go.
Well, that's the thing that's great about. Sorry, go ahead, Shawn.
No, but I mean, if you think about it, you don't talk to someone for a year, and I mean, unless you have a real good connection with them, like you said, Joe, like if I don't talk to you for a month or so, we can jump back on and pick up. But I mean, there's some people you haven't talked to in a year or two. You get on the phone with them. Hey, how's it going? Good. How you doing? Good. And then it's dead air.
Yeah, exactly. And then you're and then you're talking about the weather.
Yeah. And then you're like, I understand why I didn't talk to you for a year, because you're fucking lame.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, but that's the thing, though. It's like, I was really surprised, too, though, Shawn, when after we stopped working together, when, like, a few weeks later you had texted me. I was like, shit, like, Shawn doesn't fucking text or call anyone. When we were hanging out every day at work, I never fucking heard from you on the phone. So it was weird to hear from you. But I thought it was cool, because I remember you saying that you're one of those people who just doesn't reach out. And I don't know why. I can relate to that. I'm the same way. If I don't really feel like it, or if I don't feel compelled to in some way, I don't reach out to people.
Well, it's just the way it is. I mean, I've known my best friend. I've known him since I was 7 years old, and we didn't talk for like 5 years. And then when we got back, kind of got back in contact, it was like nothing ever happened. Like the shitty part is, he got married, I got married, we missed each other's weddings and everything, and it's funny, we both ended up getting divorced, and I made a joke with him. It's like we both got divorced because neither one of us were at each other's wedding.
What basically happened is you guys just blacked out for like 5 years and met crazy bitches, and then fucking...
No, it's just kind of, I moved, we went our own ways, and, I don't keep in contact, and, you kind of lose contact, and, you move, you meet women. When you're younger, you
meet women. Yeah, right, Shawn. Come on. You mean you shoot gay porn?
Well, you shoot gay porn with chickens and turkeys and small woodland creatures, and then
but is it technically gay then when it's creatures? Isn't it just straight to bestiality?
I think that's
Well, it started with the gay porn and jumped into bestiality.
But it was actually just Call of Duty late night.
Yes, exactly.
Gay porn.
Exactly.
Oh man, you blocked me.
Like
but I mean, really, is it really, gay porn? If you couldn't tell if she was a pig, a horse, or if it was really a woman.
So okay, on this gay porn thing, not that it's related at all, and I just heard it on. I put this video on your wall today, Jim, of Only Use Me Blade. He's a commentator on YouTube. And he said, is it okay to hit women? And then the answer was no. But he said there was this guy who got a sex change, became a girl, and was like an MMA fighter. And he was like winning all his matches because he was still, by genetics, he was still a man, and he was just beating the fuck out of these women. Is that okay?
And I love how he explained it too, and he's like, he probably just had it, so he just decided to do something. He was probably a little bit fucking nuts, so he just decided to go and, he got the boys shaved or cut off or whatever he said. He's like, he probably got himself some titties, and or probably got rid of his titty or something like that. He's like, and then just started smacking bitches around.
Well, that's crazy. Like, how can you do that?
His theory, though, was pretty funny.
He probably got tired of getting his ass kicked by dudes, got tired of not beating his girlfriend. So it was like the best of both worlds. No, it's been a huge thing. I'm a huge MMA fan, and there's been a lot of talk about it. And the fact is that
Who is it?
The name's I think Fallen Fox.
Oh.
It sounds like a bad porn name.
Yeah.
Well, it sounds like either an Adam Sandler movie or a Wayne's Brothers movie, like White Chicks or like whatever that Disney
totally
movie
does.
the girl
It totally
tries
does
out
sound
with the
like
guys team.
some cheesy plot. Oh man.
So I mean, and I guess that's been the whole thing is that it's you were once a guy, so you still got a lot of the testosterone in there, and to get in there and fight women isn't right, basically.
Well, and here's the thing: is like I totally agree with people's rights. If you feel like on the inside you're a woman or you're a man or whatever, and you got to do that, hey, that's none of my business. I have no problem with that. But genetically, you were selected to be this one thing. So in this way, like what do they say? Like I think on average, men are like 15% heavier and have about 15% more muscle mass on their body, like just by nature. Like it's an indisputable fact. So it's one of those things where like you wouldn't let someone in the 200 weight class wrestle with someone in like the 120 weight class. You just wouldn't do that. So like I don't know I think that's what the big argument must be, right? Because ultimately, like I don't care if you're the most badass chick in the world, if you're against someone who's potentially bigger, stronger, faster, your odds are cut significantly. So I think that that must be, at least in my mind. I don't know any. By the way, I know nothing about this topic. I just heard about it today. So I just thought I'd mention it because it seemed I don't know. It seemed relevant to gay porn or whatever we were talking about.
So ex-girlfriends. Yeah.
Back on the ex-girlfriends.
Well, I've only had one, so I don't talk to her. But I think you do still, Joe. Anna?
Yeah, actually, she recently had some of her work featured at the studio. She's a photographer for she's a photography editor, I think, for RealSimple.com. They like food and recipes and shit. But yeah, I don't have a real strong relationship with her, but yeah, I love Anna. We had a good time in junior high. We share that like art thing, so that's kind of cool. But I haven't talked to her real regularly. I just when I was looking for an artist of the month, and I was like, I'll get in touch with her. And so actually, I still have all of her stuff sitting in my studio, which I need to get back to her. She was featured in September, I think, and it's April.
Was that before I was featured?
Yeah. I think it was the month before. And then Jim, your stuff is still up because we haven't. For our viewers out there, I don't associate it whatsoever with what I do online, but my wife and I own a dance music studio near Chicagoland, and that's all I'll say about that. But we have like a featured artist of the month. We put stuff in our lobby wall, and so that's what we're talking about. But
my shit's been up for like 6 months. So
yeah, dude, it's primo, and it's funny because how many leads has that generated for you, Jim?
I'm not going to discuss numbers right now.
That's funny. No, but the thing, we have 7 viewers right now.
Wow.
Oh, wow.
That's
we almost
How do you even
That's an all-time
view
high.
the viewers?
I can see it at the top, or like where I get the embed code. Oh, by the way, does anyone have another window open to the YouTube to look at comments and stuff?
I do, and there's no comments.
I've got another. Okay, so let's to our viewers, our 7 viewers out there. If you'd like to hear us talk more about something, less about something, give feedback.
More gay porn. More gay porn. I mean,
And
see, you can tell us what to talk about too.
Real quick though, too. Back to the he-mail thing, or whatever the girl that turned into the guy turned into a girl, and I didn't even know that there was an MMA fighting for women, and I'm assuming that some of
I didn't know that either.
I'm assuming that some of those broads are pretty gnarly looking, man. Because honestly,
there's a hot one.
Well, the MMA, the whole female MMA program is just taking off. Years ago, Dana White, who's the president of UFC, said that there would never be women in the UFC. Well, about 4 or 5 months ago, they had their first women's fight, which was very successful. She headlined the pay-per-view, and it's really taking off. She's also going to be hosting or coaching the next episode of their Ultimate Fighter show, which is moving to
really?
FX Fox Sports 1 in September. So it's they're really trying to launch it. It's really successful. And I wouldn't say the women are raving beauties. It's not like watching Miss America.
Well, my question though, Shawn, is my wife and I used to watch about 10, 12 years ago, kind of at its peak. We watched WWF wrestling. You know, just the soap opera, obviously that it was when The Rock and Stone Cold Steve Austin, and obviously we knew it was all BS.
Shawn, show Jim your tattoo.
It was a soap opera to tune into.
Hold on, let me put Shawn on the cam. So
Yeah,
Jim,
get him on the camera so I can see her talking, Shawn.
make your Brahma.
There you go. That's awesome.
I feel like I'm like
sorry. I didn't mean to interrupt. It was just Shawn used to at work used to always be like, people think it's The Rock, it's a Brahma bull, and it's not.
It's the Brahma bull.
Oh, it's just the Brahma bull. Okay.
It is. It's not The Rock. The Rock's got all the. His is not colored. His has fucking shit coming out the nose. I have earrings on mine. Mine's kick ass. His
is much prettier.
Exactly.
But my point was that
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
My point was that on WWF they had the divas, and some of them were very hot, very athletic, muscular-ish looking women, you know. But they were basically just there for the eye candy. And then there was this real big, gnarly-looking woman. China. I don't know if anybody ever remembers her.
Yeah.
And I mean, she's just like, like shoulders bigger than my head. You know what I mean? It's just like crazy. Now, do they look like that? Or do they look more like the divas where they got their muscular, their tone, you know what I mean? Or do they look like freaking, like gorillas, you know?
Well, no, look at my screen. This is the champion that I've seen a few times.
Oh, goodness.
That's Ronda Rousey.
Yeah. I've seen her fight a few times.
I've got a signed trading card. That's awesome, though. You know a lot about it, though, so that's why I'm picking your brain on this.
No, and I used to watch wrestling, too, and, they're not like China. China is, when China first came into the WWF back in the days, she was like, honestly, like a fucking dude. She was like a fucking linebacker for the Bears. Like, she'd give Brian Urlacher a fucking a run for his money. I mean, she was a big... and then she started having all kinds of stuff done, bigger boobs and jaw jobs, and try to look a little bit more attractive, which was kind of impossible. Yeah, because she wasn't attractive.
Kind of impossible.
It was kind of hard, yeah.
On a side story, I'm sorry, I don't want to interrupt. Go ahead, Shawn.
No, go ahead. Go. Feel free.
I do that all the time.
I already interrupted, but
I've got this verbal diarrhea thing. I don't know what it is. It's like
you gotta start with we all do respect, and then you can interrupt.
With all due respect, fuck you. But when Jamie and I were, for our viewers, my wife is Jamie, who should be on soon, by the way. She should be home in the next 5 minutes. 10 viewers, guys. 10 viewers! All right. This is fucking crazy. Shawn just had a mini orgasm there.
He's like, I paid those kids outside earlier today $20 each.
Exactly.
I still don't know how to see how many we have.
It's funny. It's Jim's wife. It's Shawn's 2 kids. It's my 2 students, and like 5 of our drunk friends probably. But no. But what was I talking about? Oh, so when Jamie and I were looking for apartments, we went to this one apartment complex, and the lady who showed us around was like, she was very proud that she was a bodybuilder, and okay, cool. Mm-hmm. But she was like bigger than most dudes I know. I mean, she was taller, huge shoulders, like whatever. Anyway, she was so funny because she was
like sweet as hell, but she's got a real deep voice.
Oh, totally. She's like,
an Adam's apple
over there, and they've got great sushi. Hey, let me get that door for you. Like, it's like. Just I don't know. She had like almost like a bro tee on. It looked like a bro tee, but it was supposed to be a tank top. It was interesting.
Super tight, short shorts.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't want to sound like that guy. Like I'm big judgmental. She was sweet. It was just funny to she was really into it. And sushi. She told me all about Sushi Station. And
did you give her my number?
I thought you only liked little girls and chickens and whatever the fuck else you were talking about earlier.
Old enough to bleed, old enough for me.
Oh, that's a new one.
Is that the new topic?
I like that. If there's grass on the field, I play.
Exactly.
It's terrible. Okay, so one topic that intrigued me that came up on Facebook was the racist receipt. Have you guys all seen the racist receipt?
Yeah,
I commented on the racist receipt too.
So did I, but there's like thousands of comments.
I know, so I lost it 10 minutes later.
I'm unaware, so for me and the viewers, let's fill that run in.
Yeah, when you guys pull it up, it's on both your Facebook page, isn't it?
Yeah, here I'll do a screen share. It's really tiny.
Because that's how I saw it.
That's what she said.
Yeah, that's exactly what she said.
Well, let's see, screen share, receipt, start screen share. Okay, so this is the dealio. You can't see anything, but at the top in the description for the customers, it says 5 black guys. But the server's name was like Ashtar or something, so he's clearly ethnic himself. And this is going to come into play in a second. But here's the thing: people said, racism needs to stop and this and that. Now, let me disclaim this by saying there's no one more vehemently against racism, bigotry, all that shit than myself. I'm completely on board with equality and unity all the way. Let me say that. But here's the reason why I don't think the receipt is really racist, is because all it says is 5 black guys. It didn't drop an N-bomb, and to me it's just a descriptive term. Now, I've worked in a restaurant, and you've got a bunch of different tables, and you need to remember what receipt is where for what table. Unless you're very item specific, you're going to write down descriptive things: party of 7, 5 black guys, 3 whatever. And to me, like, is it unnecessary? Sure, it's probably unnecessary. He probably could have written it a different way, but is it racist? I don't think so. I think that people are kind of reading into it. And I can hear myself echoing on one of your computers. I don't know who it is.
And here's the point, too. When I read it, I don't know if you can read or pull up the description of it, but, this guy goes, and whoever sent it in to Fox News, you look at all the mispronunciations and everything in his paragraph, and you're just thinking, and then you look at the receipt, and it's like him and a bunch of buddies for his brunch that went and blew like $700 at a place. And this guy's just trying to start a race war. And it was his birthday. That's great. Good for him. But honestly, if you're not a black guy, what are you? You know what I mean? It's
if the four of us were sitting at a restaurant right now and they put 4 white guys on a receipt and we sent it to Fox News, you know what Fox News would say?
And it's the same thing with like the discussion on like people say, okay, like BET, Black Entertainment Television. If we had white entertainment television, it'd be the most racist thing ever. So like
we do. It's called ABC, CBS, Fox, NBC.
It's called every other channel.
Yeah.
And like, here's my whole thing is
Telemundo.
I think first of all, in order for racism to totally stop, it's just going to be time, the passage of time. But I think the beginning of that whole process is just openly kidding about it. Like, okay, at one point it was politically correct to say Negro, and then colored person, and then black, and then African American, whatever the fucking most current politically correct thing is to say. But honestly, descriptive terms I don't think in and of themselves are bad things, and we should all be a little more loose about them. Because and it goes into this argument too. And Louis C.K., for anybody who's watched him out there, our viewers who haven't seen Louis C.K., again, if you've got Netflix, you'll hear me talk about it a lot because I use it all the time. Louis C.K. Chewed Up is one of the best stand-ups ever. And in one of his opening bits, he talks about how it's fundamentally okay for African American, black people, colored, whatever, to use the N-word, but to talk to each other or describe whatever. But if a white person does, it's not. And so here's the thing. The reality is, yes, did we enslave black people and do some of the worst, terrible shit in history? Absolutely. Amongst a multitude of other things to other cultures and other peoples. So the point is to move forward, though, is that everyone has to be on the same playing field. And so pick it. We can either say it or we can't. But there can't be this divisibility anymore about like who can and can't say it. It's total BS. Because my good black friends too, that like I'm really close with, it doesn't matter to them whatsoever.
Which ones?
And it's like Brandon.
And I went to
my buddy Don. I mean, whatever.
I went to a predominantly black school. One of my best friends in high school. In high school was black, and it would always be kidding around, and that's what it is. It's just it's kidding around. It's having fun with it, man. Why take offense to it? You're not going to drop the N-word, every single day, and it's just I don't know. It's just the whole receipt thing to me was just attention, and look at the attention it got. How many hits did it get? How many comments did it get?
Oh, it's ridiculous, and people are just that easily manipulated.
Maybe it was staged.
Jim, were you going to say something before? I kept rambling.
Oh, what I was going to say is just, ultimately with the whole, how you guys react, talking about it is that, some people are, very tolerant of it, and they understand that, hey, listen, the context it was using, it was just a joke, And then there's other people that, like this person, I think, is out there looking for the attention, trying to start a race war.
And he got the attention.
And then Joe had said, oh, and I understand that, many years ago, many generations ago, we did all these terrible things and enslaved you. We did a lot of bad things to the Indians too.
Right.
But you don't see the American Indians line up. You know what they did? They took their land, they opened casinos, now they take our fucking money. You know what I mean? They're not sitting around going, oh no, you called me Indian, I'm American Indian, I'm Navajo, I'm Cherokee. You don't see as much of that. It's not as prevalent. It seems like it's a big deal. Honestly, with things like this, with 5 black guys, and turn it into a big race war. It's not.
Yeah. And like I said, in the totality of things, in the I don't know what's my word today, totality. I don't know why. But in the long-term passage of time, this will be irrelevant someday. But it is one of those things that's a focus now because, I don't know. I guess it's still prevalent enough to some people to try and talk about it. But like Shawn said, and like you mentioned too, it is like a needless grab for attention. It doesn't seem like there's a real basis in it if you're really looking at it.
Yeah, that's my. I agree.
So I want to hear about this because for our viewers out there, every week when topics come to mind, we all throw them in a message thread and we kind of bat around ideas for what we might talk about, and then we talk about them. So hope you're fucking enjoying that part. But Shawn, you had written something interesting. You said, for topic idea, you said lack of common courtesy in people, and it just immediately it made me think of so many instances with you at work and dealing with customers. So I don't know if you had something in mind you wanted to talk about, but I would love to hear from you on that topic.
It's every day. I mean, it's just every day working in retail with the individuals who have their nose so far up in the air that it's like they walk in the door like, how you doing? It's like, well, fuck you. And 5 seconds later, they turn around and want you to help with something. Excuse me, can you help me? And it's like, fuck you, fight yourself, bitch. Seriously. And it's like just because I say hi to you doesn't mean I want to be your fucking friend to hear your life story. Seriously, I'm not looking for a fucking friend. I say hi to you because I am required to greet you.
I have so many little stories. I remember one time. And we won't talk about specifics about where we worked and things, but I worked in retail with Shawn for a period of time. I guess you could call it that. I remember one time I was changing a sign or something, and I was right next to Shawn, and Shawn was like restocking something. A customer comes up to him. She's like, "Is this on sale?" She's like holding it up. Shawn doesn't even look up, doesn't even look at her, and he goes, "No." Just continues what he's doing. She asks him 3 or 4 more questions, and same thing. Shawn just gives her one-word answers, and like just such a total dick, like flat-out dick to this lady who didn't do anything wrong. And it was just funny because I don't know many people, especially in like, I don't know, what would you say, management, upper management positions, that behave the way that Shawn does, because it's very cut and dry.
And it's with me is I'm very sarcastic, and when we recently moved to a new building, we went from kind of like a medium income to a kind of a higher income. And it was like, I'm sarcastic with anybody. I don't give a shit if you come up and ask me a question. I'm going to give you some smart-ass answer and laugh about it. And at first, people didn't get it. I would get complaints day in and day out from my DM about how rude I was. But now, being about almost 2 years in, the people know what to expect. It's like, well, I'm not going to ask him a question because I'm going to get a smart-ass answer, or I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to rebut what he's going to say. And have some nice a relationship with them. And there's people in there that come in every day. Like not every day, but they'll come in a couple times a month, and I could have a decent
barking spiders in here.
And then there's other ones that just annoy the fucking piss out of me.
Dude, I remember. So the store that I worked at had gone through, like, I don't know, 4 or 5 store managers, like in a couple of years. And the morale in the store was very low because you have to readjust to each new store manager's style of management. And I was in this pocket of retail where there was a lot of long-time people in the store, which isn't, for anyone who's worked in retail knows, isn't very prevalent. The turnover is really high. The sage in the store is usually the guy who's been there for like 2 years or 3 years,
Yes, exactly.
You don't find too many guys that have been in the same position or in a store specifically for 10 years plus. And there was, when I came to the company that I worked at, which I won't disclose, there was probably at least 6 people in the building who had been there for like 6-7 years or more. One person as many as 20 years or 21 years, and like in the same position and shit, doing the same shit. So these are like fucking wizards of their craft. So like you develop this kind of clique.
Built up a retail pension.
It kind of was. It was like it was almost like a chain gang of old ladies. And it was very much like its own culture in the store. It's very laid back, and so every time you have a new store manager that comes in, it really disrupts everyone's flow. Everyone's used to doing their certain shit, and even if it's not in your job description, people work out amongst themselves what you do on truck days and this and that and whatever. And so whenever you have someone new in the mix, it's a pain in the ass. Long story short. So when I met Shawn, he was the new guy at our store, and I remember like just. I did not want to like you whatsoever because I really liked the store manager that we had, and I didn't want him to leave. And so going back to the whole point of this was Shawn saying he's sarcastic. I remember making jokes with my one store manager while this transition was going on where Shawn was taking over, and Shawn like chiming in with like these lame-ass jokes and like the shit you guys hear on this. Like you guys know how lame Shawn is. But hearing that shit, I was just like, what the fuck are you trying to do? Fit in? Fuck you. Like you have that like sort of territorial thing, but it's funny. I don't know. We ended up becoming friends somehow. I don't know how, but we're friends now. So that's my Shawn story.
That's a lame Shawn story. There's so many.
Well, I mean, really, what good Shawn stories are out there? I think they're all pretty lame by default. You know, it's sort of the default setting.
All the Shawn stories I make up are pretty cool.
Captain Underpants saves the day.
Like the time I was in Nam and stuff like that.
You know what I've always thought is instead of calling it Nam, we should call it Viet, because no one calls it Viet. Just abbreviate it the other way.
Yeah, why not?
You know, here's the thing. A lot of times abbreviations are because they're only 1 or 2 syllables, right? But I feel like there's like 1.5 syllables. Like Viet. You can count it as Viet. If you say it fast enough, Viet, it's just kind of 1, but it's not really either, is it? It's 1.5.
Yeah, I'd give it a solid 1.5.
I think legitimately in the rhythm of speech, people don't think about this. Like, okay, who I don't know if anyone knows about iambic pentameter, but it's a way to write, and it has to do with syllable count. And so you can count a sentence in syllables, right? But I just feel like there is like these 1.3s, 1.5s, 1.8 measures of words. And Shawn is whispering death wishes upon me right now.
I was just saying, I really hate everybody. 7 syllables.
7 syllables could be the name of your album.
Right behind the rape thing, right? So
anyone else got good retail stories? Because I think all of us in this chat have worked in retail, right?
Yes. Clothing.
Yes. I, too, for a period of time, worked at a store that I won't mention, but it rhymes with Boys R Us. And and I worked there for a spell. So
how great would it be if you actually worked for a place called Boys R Us and it was like little Asian boys somewhere in Taiwan? Your only customer is Michael Jackson.
Shawn.
The biggest size of extra medium.
But Jim, in that job though, did you work with customers? Or did you work a little bit more behind the scenes type stuff? Like I always worked in inventory and positions like that.
Well, I worked hungover mostly. Are you talking about Jim or Tim?
I said Jim, but I want to hear from you too.
Well, we can do Boys R Us first. I mean, let's
talk Boys R Us. Because you know what, I grew up. Again, for our viewers who haven't watched the other podcasts and shit, Jim's my brother, and so I grew up listening to a lot of Jim's Boys R Us stories, and a lot of them are really great. So if you have one that you'd like to talk.
Well, to answer your question from earlier, I started out there. I was in high school and just looking for a job in the winter. Our parents had a business doing asphalt maintenance and that sort of thing, so I would work over the summer, and make a ton of money, but then in the winter time would still want to have money, so I'd find a job somewhere in retail. So I applied for the night crew at this store that rhymes with Boys R Us, and I don't know, they wound up eventually hiring me, and so I started out kind of behind the scenes just doing the night crew, and I worked there through the season, and then they wound up keeping me on, and just as a floor stocking idiot, I guess, or whatever. I mean, I don't know. I mean, I talked with people, and then I was up front, you know. But every time they had a night crew that they'd put together, I was usually one of the only people that was stupid enough to want to willingly change around my sleep schedule and, you know, be locked in a place for, you know, 10, 12 hours or whatever the case was. So,
see, how old were you though when you had that job?
I was 17 actually when I got the job. So,
see, that's the thing too, is like when you got shit else to do. What the fuck?
I don't know.
Tim just added something at the top. When you've got shit else to do at like 17, that's the coolest shit. Like I kind of wish like I would have utilized that more. And like I met my wife at a young age, so like it was always about like, hey, can I get home to like hang out with her? But like I kind of wish that I didn't I don't know, have as many responsibilities as I did at 17, because I would have loved to do shit like overnight jobs. I think would have been fun.
Well, and
too, like you got dibs on really good shit too, because like when N64s first came out, were really hard to get. You got yourself one, and me and Jordan one too.
Yeah, and that was actually really good. Yeah, with the N64s. The first year that I worked there too, it was pretty cool because they were always needing, you know, people or whatever. They never had enough people that would volunteer for that shit, that overnight stuff. Because we would come in and work from like 10 at night to like, I don't know, you know, between 8 and 10 in the morning, and you were locked in overnight. You know, if somebody got sick or needed to leave or whatever, there was an alarm that was set, and they had to call whatever manager that was on duty that lived within a few miles to come let the person out or whatever. But it had to be like life or death emergency, you know. Mm-hmm. And so you had to bring your own food and everything. But the cool thing was that we would work our asses off and get done early, you know, at like 3, 4 in the morning, and we go sit back in the break room and like watch Star Wars. We would take, and around the holidays, people would pay the bike builder. They would buy those $300-400 motorized cars, you know, you put the big battery in or whatever. And we would have a bunch of those in the back, staged, waiting for people to come pick them up. And we were too big to actually put our legs in, so you would sit on the seat and then hang your legs over the hood. You would steer with one hand and then operate the brake and gas with the other hand. And
fucking monkey.
Kirby. Sometimes we would go and fill up, you know, with a bunch of Nerf balls. You'd put that down in the seat area that you're pretty much sitting on top of, and then you would pretty much play tag, you know, with the Nerf balls. So I mean, we had a lot of fun though, and that was when the PlayStation 1 came out, and the N64, and I think the Sega Saturn, I think, was out at the time. And it was cool because we had displays of each one, and you know, the manager on duty or whatever, which was a good friend of mine. I wound up being promoted almost immediately to the assistant manager. He had keys, and so did I, and we would just go and take whatever game we felt like playing and just, you know, sit and play it all night, you know. So a lot of different neat stuff, you know. Like I said, at that time when the N64 came out, you and Jordan were both able to get one, and they were, you know, they were being sold.
Oh, that was awesome, because
like
none of my friends were able to get that shit,
yeah.
And we got it the fucking day of with what was it, Wings and
Wings,
Super Mario
Wave
64 Wave Race, yeah. I remember
cool.
The day it came out, I was so excited. I went to the nurse's office and pretended like I was sick so I could go home. And I got home, and Jordan was home. And he just looks at me, and he goes, Jordan's our brother. And Jordan just looks at me, he goes, "You pretended you were sick too?" I go, "Yeah." And he goes, "But dude, we can't hook it up till Jimmy gets home because I don't know how to do it." And I remember sitting at Jordan's feet and being like, "Dude, you have to fucking figure it out before Jim gets home. I need to play right now." And that night, I think we ended up getting like 30 stars. Like we played Mario 64 like as late as we possibly could.
I remember that was so terrible too, because I was working the night before, and we were open till midnight around, you know, Christmas time for the shopper's convenience. So I called up Mom, and I was like, "Listen, I got a case of them. Come scoop them up." And there was 2 in a case, you know. So she came in and walked to the back. I handed them to her, and I like walked her up to the front and walked her outside, because there was literally people just camped out in the store, like waiting to see when the truck was unloaded at night if we had these things. And everybody was really pissed that she was walking out with not 1 but 2. But, you know, whatever, tough shit, man. You know, I was working my ass off for $8 an hour, so, you know. At any rate, though, I remember that, though. Then I wound up getting asked to work a double shift, so that's why you guys were waiting for me, because Mom took them, and they were at home for you guys waiting, and you went off to school and pulled your bullshit and got to come back home. And I was working like an 18-hour shift, and then I came home and basically just, like, died for, like, an 8 or 10-hour, you know, nap. But yeah, that was a fun time. I got some of those Tickle Me Elmos too for Mom that year. That was a big craze that year when we were putting each other up for them. And,
funny story is like
them, so.
that Tickle Me Elmo shit. I remember too seeing it on like a clearance shelf and dicking around with it, being like, "Mom, look, this is kind of funny." And then like the next week they like went nuts. Like it was weird. It was like it was like a sleeper release, and then they blew up. At least that's how I remember it, because I remember seeing it on the shelf with all the other like roughage, unless someone threw it on like a clearance shelf. But
I remember when I was working retail. I was working at Small Mart. We'll go off of, and I don't know if anyone remembers the Furby.
Yep.
I do.
yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
I was you know, Black Friday. We have like
Shawn, that's racist as fuck to say Black Friday.
Green Friday.
What the fuck is wrong with you?
I'm sorry. I should have learned. I should have learned from the racist receipt. So it was Green Friday, and we were, you know, we ended up with, we started with 80 Furbies, okay? But I had a lot of friends who wanted Furbies, so I went ahead and sold them to them. And well, I did, and so we ended up. Well, I didn't sell them illegally. We still legitimately sold them through the store. I just let them buy them early. So we ended up with, going on Green Friday, we ended up with 65, and there was about 300 people outside. So my store manager's like, here, you're in charge. So he gives me, he's like, do what you want. So I'm like,
Gives
okay.
you all the shitty jobs.
Yeah. I'm like, well, yeah, I know. Just because I wouldn't blow him, he gives me the shitty job. Seriously. so we go ahead and
Hey, your retail experience was a whole different one than mine. Seriously, I was required to do none of those things that I remember.
Rusty trombone and all. It was a great experience. So I mean, you know, what we did is, you know, everybody was pissed because, you know, they're it's waiting out here since midnight. So what we did is I handed out raffle tickets, and we went into our the back area where they have layaway, and you know, I was just calling out numbers. Left and right. You know, the guy's like, this is fucking bullshit. So I'm like, you're out of here.
Like an umpire.
Yeah.
No Furby for you.
I threw that exactly. It was like the fucking soup Nazi. I was the Furby Nazi.
That's what I was thinking.
He had to go. He lost his Furby ticket and everything. So yeah, there was a bunch of pissed off people there that day, and I'm surprised I didn't get killed afterwards. But hey, that was a good experience.
Yeah, I worked at Best Purchase and
Best guys.
yeah,
Rest high.
breast high. And Black Friday there was fucking nuts. Like
Racist.
it was ridiculous. Yeah, it is super racist. But dude, it was crazy. And they gave us a safety brief the day before. They were like, they told us all these stories about people who got trampled, like died the year before, and like they told a story of a store manager, like a bunch of people had a voucher for like camcorder, and there was like 30 people left, and they ran out of camcorders. So like the last one, the store manager just fucking threw up in the air. Just like went for it. I wasn't there for that. It was a story they told me. They said someone got trampled and killed, and it was like this guy lost his job. It was a whole big thing. But when I worked at Best Guys on that Black Friday, same thing happened, but with computers. And they had to call the police to be at the store. One, for occupancy, because the line gets so big, it gets crazy. But two is because people have been there since 12 o'clock the night before or earlier. They got a voucher specifically through a mailer or whatever for a computer at a certain price. They wait in line for 6 hours or 7 hours or whatever it is, and then they don't get it because we don't have it on stock. So a lot of these people are fucking rightfully so completely irate, and it was fun throughout the day to see some of the shit that happened. But I'm not kidding when I say like they'd be like last item, last TV, and like seeing people trip other people. Not kidding, actually physically trip other people so they could grab a product before them. Like I've never seen it like that. So when I worked at I'll call it McCall's. I worked at an art club. It was like so docile. It was like the total opposite of the spectrum. I was expecting at least Black Friday to be like a bunch of people wanted to get like a fucking deal on yarn or something, but there's like the same usual like 3 regular ladies out front. Like it got busy at like noon when everybody else was done with like their priority shopping for Black Friday. But
I have a question too, because see, I got out of retail and I'll be 35 this summer, and see, I did when I got.
Why don't you guys fucking jerk each other virtually? Virtual jerk.
And I feel better now, so because I felt like the old guy before, because I didn't know how old Shawn was.
35.
But at any rate, I don't know how long you've been in retail, but when I got out of retail, I was probably about 19 or 20, so we're talking like 15 years ago. And Black Friday was not that big of a deal back then.
Well, I got out of, I've been in retail since Moses parted the Red Sea. And that's what it really feels like. Well, I've been in retail for 21 years.
Woo!
Okay, so you got in around the time that I got into it. I just wound up getting out, but it was a long time ago. So I was naive to the whole Black Friday thing. It really started
like a fucking mob when you try to get out there.
Well, and I know because my wife and I decided with the first year we moved out to Michigan about 6-7 years ago, we had been hearing about this Black Friday thing. Now, mind you, I had been hearing since I was a kid from our mother, who hears something, whether it's rumor or fact, she passes it off as gospel. And she would always say, that's the busiest day of the year. She never called it Black Friday, but she said, the day after Thanksgiving, it's the busiest shopping day. You don't go out that day. And I just think by default, I probably subliminally got that. I never did. And it was not that big of a thing at a couple of different retail places, because I also worked for Small Mart for a small period of time. I even worked for Kmart as well. I couldn't even think of something to rhyme with that one, but
Kmart.
But I worked around the holiday times every year, so Black Friday was not as big of a deal as it is.
See now at Walmart when I worked at Small Mart. Black Friday.
Have we all had so many drinks that we're all just not even caring about the names anymore?
when I fucking worked here, when I worked at Small Mart, I mean Black Friday was huge, and the reason they call it Black Friday is because that's when most stores go from being in the red to being in the black, from being negative to positive.
Oh, I never knew that.
See, now I never knew that either, and that's great.
Shawn with the clutch nugget of info.
It has nothing to do with racism. It's because you go from your red to black.
And that makes sense, too, because at Boys R Us, we lost money 3 quarters out of the year, and the last quarter of the year, we made so much that they kept in business for the next 9 months, operating in the red. So that makes absolute perfect sense.
And that's the reason it's Black Friday, and it's, I also worked at KKK Mart, which by far, every day it was so hard for me not to drive off the side of the road and kill myself.
Shop smart. Shop S-smart.
Yeah. But even there, it was whenever at Kmart basically it wasn't as big as Walmart because Kraft Mart was open on Thanksgiving, so they did more of their business on Thanksgiving as your Small Mart and your other places, your Best Guys and stuff. Wasn't open on Thanksgiving, and we're only open on Black Friday.
Why don't we make a new rule? Why don't we make a new rule? If it's a previous employer, fucking say the name. If it's a current employer, use description.
I kind of like this now.
Okay, even it is a funny game. Even better. Who gives a fuck? Say whatever you want to say. Because I was only saying that because Shawn is currently working for a company that I used to work for, and I don't want there to be whatsoever any type of issues.
Any problem, conflict of interest. So.
Well, tomorrow when I go in and HR is waiting at the desk with the video. Sit on down.
Must have been one of our 10 viewers. Guys, we more than doubled our viewers from last week, by the way.
Woo! Sit on down, Shawn. I have something to talk to you about. Is this you in that video? That's not me. That's not me.
It's just some other fucking white loser who looks strikingly similar.
Anyway.
That's not me. Why don't you lift your shirt and show us your tattoo?
We're going to have to let
the Bravo.
Sorry about that.
Don't have any tattoos.
So let me say, or does someone else have something to say? I heard someone.
No, I just wanted to finish that whole thing up. So I guess what I was saying was kind of an observation and a question. Shawn, as long as you've been in retail, am I naive to the fact that it at one time, 15, 20 years ago, was big like this, or is it really only become prevalent over the last, say, maybe 10 years, that it's become like a real big phenomenon that's on TV, and the hours are getting earlier and earlier, and now it's like the day before, and then pretty soon it's going to be like, have your turkey dinner, while waiting in line for a TV at Best Buy. You know what I mean? It's going to be like
online. It's all
gravy and fixins. You know what I mean? For the first 100 people.
It's gravy and milk cartons.
Yeah. So. It's always. I think it's always been huge. I just think
that's what she said.
Exactly. That's what she said.
So
but I do believe that like when Crap Mart started opening on Thanksgiving, they kind of gave people that option is, if they can open, we can open, and kind of went from there. And
but don't you think it's just been overhyped and commercialized the last, say, 5 to 10 years? Because that's when
I
I've really started to notice it more. But I don't know if I'm just noticing it more now, or if I now have children, so now I'm actually, and now I have multiple children.
Black Friday.
They keep multiplying. I don't know what's happening. It's like a
well,
weed.
no, so now I'm actually on the
motherfucking
lookout to like
roaches.
save $200 on this or that. You know what I mean? It's like I look at those things now, whereas 15, 20 years ago, I just didn't give a shit. I just bought things at the price it was.
Right. Well, I also think that now they try to make it more of a big deal because of the fact that, you know, the economy's been shit over the last, you know, decade. And, you know, well, seriously.
It really has.
I mean, I'm not blowing smoke up anyone's ass. I mean, I don't know anybody sitting on a fucking pot of gold, you know?
Yeah.
I mean,
I know someone who's sitting on a pot of gold, but it's a good friend of mine, which I won't discuss. But anyways, go ahead. And it's not actually, it's not literally a fucking pot of gold like a leprechaun.
Weed?
And he's a leprechaun.
Yeah, exactly.
But no, I mean, it's like, I think people pay more attention now, and they try to drag the people in because there is so many people fighting for that almighty dollar. And where I work, you made a great point is, no, we don't have the big business until noon. So it's not huge. Yeah, we open at 6, 7 in the morning.
You don't sell TVs.
Yeah, exactly. But, I mean, I'm there. That's the only reason they really need to come in. The old ladies with their walkers, and they're like, ooh, look at him, as they... 3 hours to get through the store.
Yarn is buy one, get one free. Oh, good. I saved $1.89.
If I was 75 years older, he'd be mine.
The funny thing is, like, I've talked about Shawn.
Younger,
I've talked about Shawn being such a dick, especially at management. But it's funny because the relationships who get Shawn, like the customers who get Shawn, are so funny to see because usually they're like senile, totally bereft of like social order. So it's just like they accept him for who he is. But everybody else fucking hates Shawn. Absolutely hates him as a person. It's the funniest thing.
And that's the point I was making earlier is that a lot of people don't get me at first, and it's not just. I mean, there's people I've dated that like, God, I hated you when I first met you. You hated me when you first met me.
I didn't like you at all, dude.
And that's the way it is because the way I am 6 months down the road is the same way I am the first day you meet me. I'm not going to sit here and blow smoke up your ass and do a fucking dance and fucking, hey, how's it going, guys? Let's be friends.
And let me say that about you, too, is one of the things I respect about you most is, like, in all retail, because you're so understaffed and you're on a budget and hours are always shit and all they do is raise what they want your sales numbers to be, every store manager I've ever met is under some type of mental duress to the point where they're about to fucking snap. And it's just a few things that are making them hold on. Shawn is the most cool cucumber, like, this is how it goes. Like, your integrity is flawless. Like, you've never done anything in retail that is like really shady. Like, you like as much as I've known other guys, like it really is. Like, that's one thing I have to say about Shawn is like he always, and it's not like you're a by the books guy either, where you're like, oh fuck you because this is what the rule says. Like, you'll bend rules and shit, but you never lose your integrity. You never do anything really shady, which I always really respected about you as a manager.
Yeah, so, it's just
full homo.
Full.
Oh.
Yeah, I got some respect for that too, especially if he's been in retail as long as he has, because
our special guest is on.
That's one of the quickest ways to get to the dark side, man.
Oh fuck yeah! Let me introduce really quick. Okay, so everyone, she's totally late,
shit.
But everyone say hello to Surf Wife, Jamie Dub. This is Jamie, my wife. She's our special guest. She's our first female on the show. Everybody say hi, Jamie.
Hello.
Hey, Jamie.
So can you guys hear her okay? Because she's actually in the same room as me. She's right there.
Dude, you're supposed to sell it as something different.
Oh, fuck no, dude. I'm totally transparent on this channel. Everybody
Is the hazing you have to show your nipple or your chest hair?
I think so.
I did that earlier.
I think so. Jamie, is that the icebreaker or what? What do you say?
Absolutely not.
I didn't realize we were becoming a porn channel, but hey.
So... because we're in the same room, it might have a difficult time switching between her mic and mine, so I might click around and shit. Just so you guys know. Okay. It says you're muted. Can you guys hear Jamie?
No.
Yes,
not just through your...
Vaguely.
It's coming from your microphone is what it is.
I believe it. Yeah, it's vague.
Okay, let's do this. I have to pee. You guys continue talking. I'm going to go figure out her mic. And Tim, we haven't heard about retail from you. What did you do?
Well, see, my experience with retail is complete night and day from your guys' retail. I did I got coerced into doing clothing. And it's with a bunch of friends. So, you know, of course you guys probably know John, the whipping boy of Palatine. And then there's the token Asian Jason Cho. Maybe he's watching, maybe he's not, maybe he should be. But, you know, we started working at this Abercrombie and Fitch knockoff store. And
where did you work, Tim?
It was called Rule. It was like
Rule?
a clothing store in Woodfield Mall where it looked like a house.
Okay.
And long story short, it was supposed to be a more sophisticated Abercrombie. Like Abercrombie's more of high school. Rule is supposed to be college. All we got was foreign people. So we got a bunch of Asian people and foreigners that just came in, dropped like $2,000 in one city, and then there'd be people that bought like one shirt here and there. But
now, was it like high-end, like expensive? Was it like Abercrombie and Fitch, like $50 for a T-shirt?
Yeah, it was like Abercrombie, where it's like I wouldn't buy this stuff myself, but
And you got like a 75% discount.
yeah, I got like a 60% discount, and then the stories I have is pretty much the managers didn't try to screw you over. They actually they're like the football team guy that is still living the dream. He's a 30-year-old that's like, man, if I could have been with that girl that's working with you, dude, it would have been so
Babe,
sweet
you know
back then. And so he tried to hook you up with random people, and it got a little awkward to say the least. But pretty much, I got a job through Jason and John. And Joe knows them, Jamie knows them. I think Jim, you might know John.
I know John, and I drank.
So pretty much for the viewers that don't really know him, in a nutshell, Jason's like this really fun, outgoing Asian guy. Very affable, very likable. Everyone, easy to get along with. John, on the other hand, is
a total
like
dick.
Very loyal basket case that for some reason everyone's out to get him. So I get the job. Me and Jason instantly get promoted to like greeters, where they give you free clothes. They tell John to go in the back and fold like the women's clearance clothing. And no matter what happens, me and Jason, I only worked Friday nights, and then I worked Sunday mornings. And pretty much what happened was me and Jason would come over we would come in every Sunday morning hungover, and John would just get yelled at constantly. But I mean that was my experience. There really was no Black Friday because people would just come in, do as they pleased. But from
you talking about your modeling days? Catch me up to speed here.
Yeah, so I was just saying how John and Jason got me the job, and then we ended up just hiring everyone that we knew on a guy's standpoint.
Everybody worked there. Everybody that in our social circle worked where you were.
So just to go over, it was me, Tom, Colin, Steve Grisbeck, Jason Cho, and John. I was the third one they hired, and me and Jason pretty much were in. So we got free clothes. We just stand there and didn't do anything. And then the whole time they made everyone else do all this, pretty much this bitch work. And at the same time, they just, for some reason, John almost got fired every shift, and they just gave him the worst places to go. I don't know if you guys have ever done clothing retailer related to, there's always a bad area in retail. Usually the clearance items are where. Oh,
clearance is always the fucking most ridiculous. Yeah.
But imagine having to fold girls' clothing in clearance. Like, they tried to explain how to fold girls' clothing with me, but like some kind of really weird trifold. It seems like, I don't know if you guys ever folded your wives or ex-wives or daughters or anyone's clothing, but it just seems like you grab it and like you don't know what's front, what's back.
It's very confusing, yeah.
You try to do a fold, it doesn't really work out. Things aren't what they seem, and the whole time it's pretty much just I'm hungover, Jason's hungover, and we're just laughing our asses off because the manager that loves us and we can do no wrong is just yelling.
Hates your other friend.
Murder. Yeah. He's the one that hooked us up with the job.
John, our friend John always seems to be like the unfortunate attractor of shit. Like he seems to get the short end of many sticks.
I do have one funny story about Joe. One day we're working, and I'm sure you know where it's going to go. And we're
For
sitting.
those of you who don't know, by the way, Joe is Surf Dub. That's me. I think everybody knows that.
Surf.
Yeah.
And we're sitting outside. We're bringing out the sidewalk, and I'm like, "Hey, dude, can you change that price to 3 for $5, like 3 for $5?" And he's like, "Yeah, sure, I'll do it." And I go out there. You know what the fucking sign says? 345. 3, 4, 5. Like I'm fucking.
Being his older brother, I can believe him. I can believe that happened.
See, and here's the thing. For the longest time,
You were not specific enough.
I know I wasn't. I know.
For the longest time, and my father said this about me all the time. He said that I was lazy, and I'll fully admit that I can absolutely be lazy. But the thing is, for me, is give me a super abstract concept, and I will think it and think it and think it, and I will understand it and love it and write about it and talk about it and sing about it and whatever. But give me something very basic, and if it's too plain, I'm so fucking bereft of what needs to happen that I'm an idiot that way. That's like, okay, for our viewers out there, I come from a family of 6 kids, and my father owned a asphalt and seal coating and landscaping company. And so with that type of physical work, it's actually pretty simple for most people. You know, when you need to clean up a parking lot, you clean up the parking lot. When you need to do this task, you do this task. For me, fucking no. If you don't tell me exactly what needs to happen and why, I have a really hard time at connecting dots, and I don't know why, but that's just the way I'm wired. So, but yeah, with stuff like that, for me, here's the thing, the way I did it, and Shawn's a little misleading. It's not like it said 3, 4, 5, all the same number size. It said big 3, a little 4 from like the because you use like these little flippy things, like for like the cents. So it was like big 3, little 4, and then $5. So it was totally. People get that shit. It's like acronym now. It's like people yeah.
It was totally awesome.
I think it was great. But the thing that's weird about mine and Shawn's relationship too is like in retail and all the past jobs I've had, I was well known among my managers because I was the only guy who actually fucking took my job seriously. I showed up on time, I worked hard, and I worked more than any other guys. When Shawn came in, I had pretty much given up at this company, and I didn't want to do anything anymore. So I basically worked just hard enough to get by, and I had a position in the store that was great because the only one who really held me accountable was the store manager. And as long as I was getting the shit done for him, the other tasks were secondary, but they were still important nonetheless. So I was just in a very unique position in that I didn't have a ton of accountability, and I was getting super lazy. And here's Jamie again. I think Jamie went to.
There she is.
Jamie, say something. Can we hear you?
Not at all.
You're still muted somehow. I don't know what it is.
Did you go up on the top? There she is.
Wait, there we go.
There you go.
All right.
Woo!
Okay.
Woo!
So she's here now.
Finally, there's some class on the show. Jesus
All right.
Christ.
All right. Now,
Right.
I
now
take
show
offense
us
to
your-
that. No, not really. I don't. I take no offense to that.
All right. So does anyone have like a good would you rather question or like a good icebreaker for our new guest? I think that's what we should start a tradition with guests because we should.
Jamie also worked with me.
Yes.
That's right. She worked with you. I don't know why I'm doing this all night. I did this last week too. It's just kind of like the
Double fist.
Very
double
awkward.
fist.
It's muscle memory. So,
Muscle memory, yeah. Yes, I learned from my older brother.
Oh.
That's all right.
So,
I resemble that remark.
So, okay, well, now we need to hear from Jamie on retail, and then we'll switch subjects. So we've been talking about retail for a long time. But okay, so Jamie had, before she worked with Shawn and I, she had a brief stint in retail
God.
before, working for a company called
Oh, Coles.
Coles.
Sorry.
Oh, we were making up fake names before, but you can call it Coles.
Oh.
So why don't you
Rolls.
tell us about
Yes.
Coles, if you will.
Oh,
I think I worked for a day and then I quit. Literally. It was like crazy. I don't know. I just wasn't used to retail. All I ever did before was teach dance and nanny. So to have like an actual job, it was very weird. I didn't like it.
It's
until I
intense,
worked.
right? Because like
Yeah.
they in like your first day, they were like, I know we haven't shown you the register system, but you need to start ringing people out. Like,
yeah.
it was...
Like I watched like training videos on like a computer for like 2 or 3 days, but then they literally like the day I started working, they like put me on a register and I had no idea what I was doing. It was like so embarrassing. It was really, really bad. And I kept asking for help, but like they were like, oh, just do this and that, and like nobody really explained it to me, so it was a nightmare.
I don't know about you, but I'm the worst in environments like that where the pressure is high and you need to react now. Like that's why I
Yeah.
didn't do well in sales, like because it's all about like think on your toes, do something now. Like if it's not premeditated for me, it often comes out a half-baked thought. And so that's my trouble with that type of shit. As you guys can see about me talking publicly, it's like fragments and sputters and not finished sentences and such.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah,
like watching a
weird.
schizophrenic have an episode. So I never knew you worked at Kohl's for a whole day, huh?
Yeah, a whole day. Yeah.
That's amazing. I got a job at Kmart, and I wasn't even old enough to actually work at the time. I was 15. It was over the summer, and I'd also gotten a job at the same week at Walgreens. And I was going to see if I could work both of them in, because they both wanted to give me like 15 to maybe 20 hours a week. And I figured, hey, that's cool, more money. But I kind of like didn't really want to work at either one, So Kmart got the shit under the stick because what happened is they hired me to be I had to be trained on the register is where this was going. So they actually did train me for the first few days. But after that was done, I was supposed to be like a stock person. And at this point, Kmart's infrastructure was crumbling so badly that there was stock people, but there was no manager to tell them what to stock or where to take it from or what to do.
It's like, hey, just guess.
So you could literally show
products,
up
just
and
guess.
punch in and then like leave, which I did several days, and some days even to go work next door over at Walgreens. So anyway, so this goes on for I don't know, maybe 2.5
Is that by the new
weeks or
police
something
station?
like that. What's that? Yeah, right, the
Yeah.
one that was right by the new police stations. So this goes on for about 2.5 weeks, and finally somebody kind of catches on to it, and it has nothing to do with my punching in and leaving and not doing anything and whatever, right? It's loss prevention telling me that I guess there had been a person going around in the Kmart or in the area that was duping people that would come up and ask for change, and they'd come up and give you like a 20 and be like, yeah, let me get 5 10s and stuff like that, and I'm way too smart to fall for that type of shit. I honestly am. I'm not speaking super highly of myself, but I'm really good with numbers, and that stuff never got by me. But they wanted to question me because one time my drawer was short like $20, and that's what this guy would do, this scam or whatever, So they're questioning me, and the whole time I'm like sweating it because the one guy's waiting for his other buddy to come in, and I'm like, oh man, they're going to be like, you've been punching in for shifts and then just leaving. and it was only like 4 and 5 hour shifts, or whatever. And I'm thinking, man, there's got to be something illegal about what I'm doing, They never caught on. But after I had that brush with death, so to speak, I wanted to put in my notice, and I left.
Well, speaking of illegal in retail, and you talk about small greens, I work for. Yeah,
I worked for them back when they still had a liquor department. They sold beer.
Dude, that was the best. Remember when you show up at Walgreens, I'd be like, yeah, I got to get the paper. She'd get like a gallon of vodka and like fucking all of the orange
I used
juice.
to help the main guy over there stock
my
stuff,
God.
and then we would load up a few cases of beer that somehow he would remove from inventory, I guess, or something. I don't know. But he'd give me like $10 or $20. I was only like 15 or 16, and load up a few cases, and then if I wanted to have a case, he'd leave one out in the alley for me
See,
afterwards.
and Shawn, I'll let you get to your thought, but
Yeah, I'm sorry.
is it just me, or is it like 10 years ago? Not well, I guess it's longer than 10 years ago now. Like 20 years ago, like early mid 90s. Is it just me, or was like like retail, especially, totally much more lax? Because I remember old managers telling me about having like barbecues at stores and shit like that. And like I got into retail in 2003, 2004, somewhere in there.
Yeah, that's when it became all about the customer, man. That's when it became about like we have to be open on like Thanksgiving and like Memorial Day and Christmas. Like seriously, we need to be open all the time
now
because we have to take a little slice of the pie from that other competing.
All that happens is the industry giants keep setting the tone. So the Walmarts and the whatevers out there are the ones who are setting the example for other companies that are trying to walk in that same style.
Yeah.
And it's sad because, like you said, like having Thanksgiving dinner in fucking line. It's like that's what it's going to be.
Seriously, that's what they did. Like this year, they wanted. Last year it was midnight, right? This year it was like doors open at 10 o'clock. At 8 p.m. there's special viewing. Listen, at 8 p.m., man, I want to be like half in the bag, like sitting around not being able to move because I ate so much food that I just literally cannot get up. You know what I mean? I've watched some football. I'm just laying there in a coma. It's a nice turkey and
your goal is to make every child in Africa cry on that day.
Oh my God.
Well, no, but it's like when we were kids, and I'm like, there's somebody starving for us. You're damn right there is. So you know what? I'm going to make sure that I appreciate and eat my food. I'm not going to wait in line for a TV for $100 off.
And that was a terrible joke for me to make, but it's kind of true because it is a type of gluttony that we have.
We don't have any viewers in Africa.
But
how do you know that?
Fucking like Eat No Knock is fucking sitting there right now going, "Oh, you fucker!" But
we lose one viewer. Oh,
we just
racist bastards.
Fuck you, Jim.
I am real African.
No, but for real though, like it is a little bit like gluttonous, but I think it is good that we if we can put it in proper perspective, like you said, realize that that's happening elsewhere in the world and enjoy and be thankful for what we have, and that's really what Thanksgiving's about. And I think you're right, dude. Like retail's totally fucking cutting into that, and it's getting to the point where it's like super ridiculous. And Shawn and I have talked about this 100 times with how early the Christmas seasons are getting, not just Christmas season, but seasons in general, like.
When they start advertising for and putting things out.
Shawn, we got
Before
we got our first Christmas shipment in for the company that we worked for. Did we get it in like July or August?
June.
Oh man.
Because you'll have Christmas in July, so you start really early. So you start looking at it in June. So we're less than 60 days out before you start looking at the seasonal merch. I mean, and a big plane, it's a small SKU count, but I mean it's still, you start looking at it, you look at it from June, July, August, September, October, November, December, January, February before it's finally gone. You have like 3 months where you don't have to look at
the thing that's always been weird to me too is like in November, Christmas stuff is starting to go on clearance. What the fuck is wrong with like that's crazy to me.
And the funny part is I was in retail from the time that I was about 14 or 15, and I would get those jobs because my mom would she would photocopy and fake my birth certificate and change it to a year or two before whatever I needed. So I was working it, and that's what they would accept for identification, at places back then. And I would do that, but I stayed in retail for a short period of time. And the last year that I was in retail, I was working night crew, and in our family, I was the oldest of 6 kids, and Christmas was a big deal, and I'm sure that Surf can vouch for that as well. But it was a big deal, and especially to the younger kids. So my 2 youngest sisters, who are now in their 20s and late teens, they were very little this particular year, and we wound up having to work Christmas Eve night into about 2 in the morning, 3 in the morning Christmas Day. And at the time, I was just like, whatever, I'd already worked so many hours. I was on like double time, and I was like, oh, it's fine, it's just 4 or 5 hours. Well, the manager wound up coming in and being a real dick about some of these things he wanted to have done, and stayed with us. And we didn't get done until 4 in the morning. I got home and literally got maybe like an hour and a half of sleep by the time I wound down and everything else. And then my younger brothers and sisters were up. And I mean, that was just a big family thing. You just, in my house, you just wouldn't sleep in on Christmas, That was the last year that I was in retail, though, because I remember getting up and being groggy and hardly even remembering a lot of the experience and the time, and seeing myself in pictures later on and looking like I had, like I had just been on like a night of binge drinking.
Dude, that's the soul-sucking thing about fucking retail, though.
And that was the thing. And then I thought about it. I'm like, all the different days that I've worked, and especially too working for our father's company, my birthdays in the summer, always worked on my birthday, always worked Memorial Day, 4th of July. And I was just kind of like, what, enough is enough, man. This is bullshit. I'm not going to miss family memories,
Oh yeah, no shit, dude. Well, Shawn, you've talked about that a lot before too. Or didn't you used to always have your birthday off for Father's Day, and then when you came to the company that we worked together at, like all that shit went out the window?
No, I always I don't give a shit. I mean, Father's Day, yeah. My dad, yeah. I don't care about having Father's Day off. To me, it's just a fucking stupid Hallmark holiday. My birthday every year I take off, and my birthday doesn't mean dick to me. It's just the fact that it's in the middle of summer and it's a nice week. It's warm outside, and God damn it, I'm taking this shit off because I can. And I mean, I've been working for years and years and years. There's only 1 year that I haven't had my birthday off, and that was, I was probably like 17, 18 years old. And it's like when you're that young, you're happy to have a fucking job and be making $5 an hour,
Right.
But I mean, I get my vacation when I need to take it. I have Black Friday and the holidays and shit. It's blown out of proportion. It's the fact that it's what you make of it. I mean, I've been doing it for years, and I've worked at the top, I've been at the bottom, and I've been all through. I've had it off, I've worked, and I mean, it just doesn't bother me. I mean, I know when I'm going into that time of year that I'm going to put in more hours, I'm going to work, and I'm going to see my kids less. But you know what? The day we hit December 25th until we hit it again in when we start putting in the hours in October, then it's easy time.
See, but for you, you're one of those guys who's perfect for retail because you have no real attachment to like those seasons. Like for me and my family, it was such a big deal that like I have a stigma against working those hours around holidays and shit like that, and I hate it. But for you, you had a completely different upbringing, and so for you, I think you're very detached from that. You don't give a shit about, like you said, you don't even care about your own fucking birthday. Like whereas for me, I'm like, I'm a princess today. Like give me fried chicken and a blowjob and beer and that's what I want to do today. It's my birthday. Like, whereas you can be like, hey, fucking kick me in the dick while I'm down, and I'm cool with that. Like, so you're perfect for retail.
Well,
Jamie,
and the fact with me is that I don't require a lot. Is I've always had Christmas Eve with my kids, and it's always been a kind of more of the thing. And it's like my whole point is if I could be off or at least be home early, and I mean I write the goddamn schedule so I can do whatever the fuck I want, and it makes it that much easier. So I mean on life aspect, it never takes a toll on me. It is what it is. It's expected after years.
Yeah, see, and that's good. You get it. Like Tim said, another day, another dollar. But Jamie, you had a kind of a completely different experience with working, right? Because for our viewers who don't know, Jamie, my wife, is a very accomplished ballerina. She's a dance teacher, and so her schedule. Well, Jamie, you go ahead and explain it. What's your schedule like as compared to someone who's like in retail?
Well, I usually would work. I started assisting classes teaching when I was I don't know, like 12 or 13. So like our dance year would always go from September through June. So I mean, I would get like the whole summer off, and now being a business owner, it's a little bit different because you have summer classes and all this stuff. But I get a good chunk of time off. I'm very thankful for that. It's not anything rigid like it is in retail, but it's pretty easy going.
Yeah, like I said to our viewers earlier, my wife and I own a company near Chicagoland, and the cool thing is for us is like our year does coincide with most school years. So like spring break we have off.
Yeah.
Winter break we have off. Summer break for the most part we have off, and we have summer classes.
My schedule's like half of what it is normally. In the summer, it's like half of what it is during the year. So
it's great. We love the summer because like. It's cool because for any of you working couples out there, especially because my wife and I work opposite shifts. She works from like 3 to 9. I work from like morning till 3. So the only time we see each other is for like an hour at night, like now, or like on weekends and shit. So like summer for us is fucking cool because day drinking, beaches, hanging out with your family, like that's what we do.
You go out to dinner during the week, like that's like a really fun thing because normally it's not an option.
Yeah.
Get crazy on a Wednesday.
I just want to say that we have a comment. It looks like someone wants us to start discussing tattoos, not to go on a complete tangent.
Okay, no, I was going to say we should switch topics anyway. So what are your guys' thoughts on the subject? I think that the topic that we talked about was, are tattoos addictive by nature, or are they just ploys for attention?
Yes.
Next topic.
Take it, Yellow Bus. Take us there.
We cleared that one out.
Does it matter if they have meaning or if they just look cool? Was the comment by Killer Monk, which I believe is Matt Gilman, if I remember gamer tags correctly.
I used to think that if it didn't have a meaning, it was pointless. And then I kind of had a radical viewpoint when I started hanging out in tattoo shops and getting I got a big piece done. And hearing all the shop guys talk and stuff, it made me really understand other people's perspectives about getting shit that doesn't mean anything. But my whole thing is, like, I feel like it gets to a certain point. I see this shit on Facebook all the time where people are like, I'm itching for a new tattoo, but I don't know what. Well, what's that telling you? If you're itching for something but you don't know what it is, I feel like it might be attention based.
It's called attention.
No, it's called
Right.
if you're itching, it's called an STD.
Who has a tattoo here?
If you're
No,
itching
I know
in
you
certain
do.
places, let's clarify
Shawn, we
that.
saw yours. Tim, do you have a tattoo?
I do.
I have 3.
Okay, so let's do a tattoo
Jamie?
share. Let's start with Jim. We'll start on the left because Jamie and Tim don't have tattoos. But let's start with Jim.
No.
Jim, go ahead and show us what you have.
I don't even know if I can get that into the camera there.
It's a product of the '90s. No, I'm just kidding.
Well, there are 3 separate ones. This one I got when my wife and I first met. We actually got suckered into going to like a tattoo party out in Wonder Lake at this.
Those
guy
are
named,
fallopian tubes and a vagina.
at this guy
right?
named Redwood's house, and I was having a few drinks, and I just decided I was looking through some sketches from a book that he had, and got that one done. And then after that, we used to go out to South Haven every year, and
Michigan.
in Michigan. And my 2 brothers, one of which is on here right now, and the other one who's halfway around the world, we got these done, and we each got unique ones, and one of them means brothers, and the other one means we have a separate one, and mine's, I think, like knowledge, and Joe's is like, or Surf's is something with like
Douchebag.
like artistic or something like that, and Jordan's was like strength, because he's just, we used to call him Mongo.
Yeah,
And then the last one was just some kind of tiger that I got on a 3rd trip out to South Haven. That you guys were just like, you got to get a tattoo, you know.
That's
All
cool
right.
enough.
Sure.
Sean, you go. Sean Shank, it's your turn.
You know, I got the bull.
I like the bull.
I got the bull. I got that. Oh my God! I want to say a long time ago.
Get all
I
up
have
in the
reminded me
camera.
of The
Get
Rock,
all up in the
though.
camera. I want to see.
As I yanked the shit out of my hand, I have the barbed wire. Hold on, move over.
Dude, you're not even in the fucking frame.
I'm like all over here. Whoa!
It's like his ass.
I mean, I got the barbed wire. In fact, the barbed wire was the first one.
See, that's nice.
The Celtic cross was honestly, it's the newest. It's about a year ago. I went like 20 years
like
without
that. I
getting
like
one.
the color too.
Did you paint in your fingernail like a goth, or is that a bruise?
That's retail.
Put that in the camera. I want to see that. You look like an emo bitch. Is that pencil or pen, or is that a bruise?
It's a
It's a
bruise,
blood
man.
blister.
Okay.
Yeah, I smacked my shit about 3 weeks ago.
Fucking slapping an old lady around, or what?
No, she slapped me around with her walker, man.
Anyway, so I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. So you got the cross done.
Well, I got the cross. I got my kids' names at the bottom, and I got that about a year ago. And go ahead, and then you could show yours, and then we'll talk about it.
Oh, okay. Okay, so I the first one I got done is what like Jim was talking about. I was a product. Well, I can't get it in the camera right. I'm like
It's so funny
doing
seeing
all
you
this
guys
weird
try
shit.
to like center it.
Do you lift?
Do you even lift, bro? Well, yeah. So the bottom one means brother, and the top one means artist. But I got that when I was 15 in Michigan, and it was a
Artist,
brothers
that's what
thing.
it was. Yeah, I'm sorry, I couldn't remember exactly what it was, but I knew it was something like that.
It's actually, there's older brother and younger brother. There's no sign for just brothers, I guess. So all of us have younger brother. Even though Jim is an older brother, I think Jim took one for the team because Jordan and I are both younger brothers.
I just took it on faith that that's what they actually meant anyway.
Yeah.
You guys were just like,
Yeah.
we gotta
Well,
do it.
I
They're
looked
only
it
gonna
up.
be like $60, and I'm like, okay.
I verified it a few ways. That's
Probably
the beautiful thing about the internet is it's not like back in the day when sailors in World War II got like fucking hairy pussy tattooed on them. They thought it meant freedom or something. But the second one I got
Maybe that is freedom to them.
was this big one, and this one had to do with a lot of things. It's a big surf wave and a dead fish, and a big heroin needle, but it's about a lot of things. I struggled with addiction for a little while, but also I felt a real connection to Bradley Noel from Sublime for a long time, just hearing a lot of his life story and his struggle with heroin, and so I kind of got this tattoo as a way to keep myself from falling into those bad temptations I've had in my life, and also as a way of kind of celebrating his life because I think he's a wonderful musician. So those are my stories about my tattoos. Okay, so back to the general question though. Do you get to a point where you're just getting tattoos for other people, or are you still doing it for yourself?
I mean, with me, I think ultimately it's always been for myself. I mean, did I ever see myself getting tattoos? No. Did I ever see myself getting my ear pierced? No. But, I have my ear pierced like 5 times. So, I think, it's just,
How did that happen?
well, that's what happens when you have gay sex.
Yeah, Getting pierced with something, I hear.
Yeah. No, it just, I mean, with me, it was,
Word on the
like,
street.
I got my ear pierced, and I got it pierced a second time. And at the time, I was working at Small Mart, and we had a new person in jewelry, and they're like, "Hey, you want to go ahead and be a test dummy?" I'm like, "Hey, what the hell? I'm young. Why not?"
God.
And it's like, bam, and then bam, bam. So it is what it is. But with the tattoos, I mean, is it addictive? Yeah, because I mean, I went like 15 years between tattoos, and now it's the fact is, I want to get something else. But if I'm gonna get something else put on me, it has to be something that means something. And the guy I got tattooed with last time is he made a great point. He's like, your body's a canvas, and it's your canvas, and it's you expressing yourself.
And I think that's always the argument, is that like it's your own body journal thing. But like,
it
is that argument inherently weak? Because people can use it as a very deflectable, easy excuse for just being like, hey, I need a grab for attention. And I didn't feel that way until I sat down with a shop owner. He was like, dude, you could be just as happy with putting that picture up on your wall. Like, the reason you get a tattoo is because you need to fucking say something to people. Like, period. And they have no choice. They have to look at it. And so... Yeah. Let's hear from Tim and Jamie. Tim and Jamie don't have any tattoos. Why do you guys, have you chosen that? Is it unconscious? Do you not care? What do you guys feel about it?
Ladies first.
Boy, thank you. No, the thing that freaks me out is like it's permanent. Like it is not going anywhere. I mean, yeah, you can get it removed like with a laser or whatever, but I don't know. I don't know if there's anything that I want on my body like that. I don't know.
What scares you about the whole permanent thing? Is it that later you might not be as into it as you were at that time, or?
Yeah. Or if I change my mind, or I don't know. Or what if somebody messes up and it's like there forever?
True. Have you guys ever seen some shitty tattoos online? It's really fucking funny.
Well, can I say names on here or no?
Well,
No.
I mean, just use discretion. I mean, if it's someone who wouldn't want their name known, then make something up. But otherwise, I mean, whatever.
Well, your other brother has a tattoo spelled wrong on his forearm. That really sucks.
Yes.
That's true.
Suck.
That's always bothered me.
I know he doesn't care. He's just like, whatever. I mean, he's really easygoing about it. He thinks it's funny. It's a funny story to tell, but, I don't...
It's a little ambiguous, too, because what they're talking about is he has carpe diem, and diem is supposed to be D-I-E-M, but you can look it up in other places, too, where it's D-I-E-M, and I've seen both. It is defensible in that way. But if it was something
D-E-I-M?
more like... Yeah, it's supposed to be D-I-E-M, and it's spelled D-E-I-M.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Whatever. It's
just spelled
insignificant by and large. It's not like I don't know, fucking flat out like account spelt with only one C or something. Like it's
not like when the same brother went and put up Christmas lights for our younger sisters. Held him out and he spelled sweat dreams
instead of sweet dreams.
Yeah.
We gave him some crap for that because man, he was patient enough and meticulous enough. Surf and I have just no attention as far as a lot of times completing something unless we're really into it. But he'd take the bullet every time, And okay, this is they'll like this, and it's meticulous, and it's And I remember coming down there and he shows me, and I like. And I think I was the one that broke it to him too, and I tried to do it, very easy and everything like that. But I was just like, yeah, that's awesome, And I kept it going for like 30 seconds. And he's just like, what's wrong? And I'm like, well, you spelled sweat.
But here's the thing, and let me say this on a side note that bothers me. And this isn't exclusive to our brother, but it's people in general. It's like, all of us are limited to some capacity or another.
Oh yeah,
right?
I'm not saying it to make fun of him at all.
Oh, and I know that, but I'm explaining for our viewers is that we're all limited to some capacity, and it's one of those things where like spelling, mathematics, like that type of thing comes for my brother and I, Jim, like pretty naturally. But like there's things that like I'm totally bereft, and same with Jim. I'm using that word a lot today too. Like my brother Jordan can he'll just out of nowhere he could take wood and just build a fucking crazy hey, talk about Noah's Ark. Jordan would be like, yeah, I got that shit. In an afternoon. Yeah. Jim and I could sit there for days fucking conceiving everything and stuff like that. So what I'm saying is I feel like those things exist on different levels. And with my brother, It's just one of those things where spelling is not one of his things, which is fine. I saw a thing on YouTube too between anybody who watches gaming channels. White Boy 7th Street and Only Use Me Blade are notorious for not being good spellers, and they had a spell off one time, and it was so fucking funny to see, two guys. Did you see that? To see two guys fully admit that they cannot spell, and it was really enjoyable to watch. But,
oh yeah, like I said, there's no shame in it either. It was just a funny story and a run.
Right.
Because, like I said, it was one of those things where it's like, you know, somebody was going to wind up telling him, you know what I mean, ultimately, and it was a very sweet thing that he did for our two younger sisters. I think they were probably, I don't know, 6 and 2 or something at the time. You know, I don't know, they were really young. You know, so it was a real nice gesture, but it was one of those things where, and I know amongst just, you know, some of us that, you know, obviously we fuck around with each other a lot. We gave him some shit for it.
Well, that's the problem with guys too. Is like we'll drive things into the fucking ground until they're not funny anymore. Like I just watched this on a Painkiller already, where like the lefty racist thing we were talking about earlier. For our viewers, Lefty is a commentator, and he was called racist one time just as a joke, and now it's so prevalent. Like every show, they talk about how Lefty's a racist. And it's like just a guy thing, though. Like, we do that shit to each other. Like, you know, I think all guys out there have a group of friends where they're like, yeah, that one dude has that one joke about him, and, like, it never goes away.
No, we won't forget.
So, Tim, we didn't hear from you about tattoos. Why don't you have any tattoos? Is it a choice, or you just don't care, or what?
My mom said she would disown me.
Really?
At a very young age. And I respected that.
Aww.
No, actually, I need to admit something, Joe. I do consider something a tattoo.
What's that?
It can be removed at any time, but I keep it dear to me. But no, on a serious note, you know, if people know me, they know that I go off impulse. I'm very instinctive. I do have a brain, but for the most part, I've always been acting purely off of sheer thrill of other people's reactions. But for some reason, I mean, tattoos just never really strike it for me, and I don't know why. I can't really explain it, but I never got one. Doesn't mean I won't get one in the future, but you know, it's just the thing that I just haven't really made a priority or even thought about. So I don't really have any. I mean, I can't really explain it, but for the most part, you know, I'm not opposed to tattoos, but I don't know. Maybe
well, that's sort of you too, though. It's like in general, you're one of those guys who's indifferent towards almost anything. It takes a lot to get you to take a stance on anything. Where I'm the polar opposite. Like, I don't take stances and have opinions just to have opinions, but I just find that naturally, like, I'm the type of guy that's like either very much like yeah or no, like they're like you know what I mean. I don't know. I have a voice that way. Not saying that it's wrong to not, but it's like your grandfather. Like your grandfather was like that, and your dad a lot too. But I like that. I like that quality because you're the guy too. And I don't know who else knows guys like this aside from Tim, but Shawn, Jamie, and Jim. I'd like to hear from you guys. Is Tim is that guy? He brings everyone together. Like 10 different people who hate each other, who would never otherwise fucking talk to each other, can all hang out if Tim's there. It's the weirdest thing ever. So I love that about Tim. It's because he's like totally indifferent.
Brought you and Jason back together after the financial situation.
Yes.
Yes. For our viewers who don't know, I had a friend that we lived with, and there was a whole issue over rent money and whatever. We got into a scuffle, a physical fight, and we didn't talk for a long time. It was just it was roommate, young, stupid kid shit. But Tim was the guy who like brought us back together because like this guy who I'd talked to in like a year just showed up at one of my house parties because Tim didn't ask or tell me that he was coming. Normally I'd be pissed at anyone who does that to me, but with Tim, you just accept it. You're like, okay, well Tim is fucking.
Tim can do anything, and you'll be like, okay.
I remember, here's a little story about Tim. Going back.
Okay, Chris might watch this later, so just be careful.
Oh no, I won't.
Oh, no.
No. But so my wife Jamie, the studio before we owned it, worked with another lady, and so I used to get all my Goonie buddies to like participate in the dance recital, and we'd play different roles or be in different dances and shit. And so I remember one night Tim and my brother and some other guys were rehearsing like a number they were gonna do, and my brother calls me fucking absolutely fired up. He's like, dude, "You gotta fucking talk to Tim." And I'm like,
I remember this.
I'm like, what's the problem, bro? What's going on? He's like, I went to go say hi to him, and he just slapped me in the nuts, and then he laughed. And I'm like,
He hated me for like a month after that.
I was like, that's just Tim. He's like, no, that's bullshit. That's why Tim gets away with shit, because everyone just go, it's okay because it's Tim. I'm like, this is just, but it's always been Tim. Tim, I remember our sophomore year, we had a gym class together.
Oh,
I see you across the field. I'm like, hey, buddy, what's up? And Tim's like running at me, and I'm thinking he's all excited to see me. He doesn't say hey. He grabs me by both nipples as hard as he can, and he jams his knee into my cock at like 30 miles an hour. I mean, like leaps, jumps and leaps.
15
And he goes, caca! Just nails me in the dirtiest, most rotten way. No explanation, and afterwards, no remorse. I mean, I'm lit up, pissed
I
off.
said sorry
Probably
man,
was
6 months later.
laughing.
But Tim is just laughing his fucking ass off. But that's the thing about Tim. That's what you gotta love about Tim, is that like he socially has no bearings whatsoever. You're in Tim's world always, and like
I have limitations.
yes. Well, I mean they're much more expansive than other people's limitations socially, I think. So I don't know. Does anybody else know people like Tim?
I don't have any friends, so I don't know. I don't know anybody. So.
But I can
That's
keep
true.
a job at the same time.
True. You're flighty, but you can keep a job. In that way, you're like Milton from Office Space. Okay, we should switch topics, huh? We've been talking about only a couple of things. Okay. Oh, let's talk about something that Jamie Dub, Surfwife, wants to know about. Jamie suggested that we talk about the new Transformers movie, and I don't know anything about it. So, Jamie, why don't you lead us in the topic?
Oh God, I don't know much about it. I just know that Mark Wahlberg is supposed to be like the main character, and I love the Transformers movies.
Ooh, will Ted be in it too?
Perhaps.
Just hoping.
I just saw that movie, by the way, and I really like
Transformers
it.
Bear.
It was good. It was good.
Yeah. No, I don't know, but I love the Transformers movies, and my son watches the third one all the time, so I would love if they came out with a fourth. It would kind of suck having a different main character, but I mean, like, I don't know. What more can you do with the same one?
You know, my problem is with that though is, I mean, you know, everything that's new. Spider-Man, you know, came out what 10 years ago. It's already been rebooted.
And then they have to reboot it after 3 movies that were pretty successful.
Transformers, you know, came out 10 years ago. It's rebooted. I mean, everything gets rebooted. You know, I mean, it's like
they used to wait 20, 30 years for it. You'd see remakes of things from back in the 70s, and you'd see a remake. You're like, oh, okay, well, I can check that out, you know. And now it's like, you know, it's a disgraceful amount of time. Because the last I heard was when 3 was coming out, Michael Bay had been the director, and Steven Spielberg's name was tied to it, but really in name only as an executive producer. They just stamped it on there to sell more tickets. But Michael Bay, though, had said after the 3rd one that he was going to be done with them, you know. And a lot of people were upset because they still wanted to see the Dinobots and some other fan favorites get brought into the fold, and they thought he had kind of strayed a little too far from, you know, the cartoon, you know, that was basically made back in the 80s to sell toys. You know, that's what the original cartoon was made for. And the last I heard, Jamie, was earlier this year, I think, or maybe even end of last year, is that it's scheduled to come out next summer, next July of 2014. Last I heard, they were talking about Mark Wahlberg being in it, but Michael Bay was supposed to be signed on because, you know, if you throw enough zeros in front of somebody after a a big enough number, they'll do it. And that was the last I had heard, you know. So I didn't know it, but it is supposed to be a remake now. Is that what they're going to do?
That's
the word.
Is it really?
It's supposed to be like a kind of like a remake. I mean, of course, it's not going to be you know verbatim of the first one. You know, they'll add new characters and you know all that stuff. But I mean, that's the whole thing. Is like, you know, you have a successful movie franchise, and 10 years later you're doing it again. 10 years later you're doing it again. Nobody has a fucking creative idea anymore where they can come up with something themselves. It's like, hey, you know, masturbate in front of the TV for 25 minutes. I mean, seriously. At least it's a goddamn creative idea. I mean, it's always the same shit.
Anyway.
And that seems to be the trend across the board in a lot of the entertainment mediums, because I know last week when we talked a little bit about music stuff, I mean, you can. My wife will vouch for this. You know, I'll go on rants when we're in the car, and she has the radio on, and there's this real popular song by I think it's by Bruno Mars, and it's a remake of he redid the chorus for it, but it's a song that the Police did back in the '70s. And at any rate, when I listen to it, it always dupes me because for the first minute, I think that it's the song by the Police, you know, and then I realize I'm listening to B96 or whatever crap station she's got on, and all of a sudden he starts going into this, you know, nonsense for the chorus that he changed around. I'm like, you son of a bitch, you know, that guy sold an extra 1 million albums, preying off the minds of the people that hear that and, you know, kind of get nostalgic for that sort of thing. And it just seems like there's really no new ideas being generated.
No, there's not. Everything
Hollywood
is a remake of yesterday.
Yeah, and I mean, even in the video game world, many of the games that you're seeing now are 3s and 4s of things, or they're prequels. Gears of War had a popular series that was a trilogy, and then they made a prequel to it so they could sell another game.
Yeah, but you know the funny part is I was reading today is like Gears of War and God of War both came out with prequels, and both of them in the first month sold less than 500,000 copies. Well, less than their predecessor.
Yeah,
so, I mean, nobody cares. Nobody cares.
People just aren't hyped. Yeah, they're tired of it. You know, I mean, Halo did it with Halo Reach a few years ago, but people grabbed onto it because it was Bungie, the original developer that created it. It was kind of like their swan song. It was their last game that they were making before they were turning over developmental duties to 343 Studios. And you know, but I mean, even that now is getting to be tired and old. There's few new ideas out there.
I agree with that on the whole of like commercialism and consumerism in general. That like shit is way overblown and overdone. Like you see it in reality TV too. It's such a fucking joke. But I don't believe there's any genuine shortage of human creativity. I think in music it's more prevalent because of technology to do throwbacks. But we've seen that music for many years. That what you were inspired by to be a writer shows up in your music, and it happens all the time. But I do think though that with like remixes, rehashes, reality TV products, all that type of shit, that like it is a much more prevalent thing because again, it's like the same problem that we talked about in retail. It's all about trying to increase things by numbers and instead of actually seeing where trends are going socially. And so I think that's where the big disconnect is we're measuring things by a spreadsheet instead of what the market is really demanding.
Well, but go ahead.
Oh, sorry. You can
go ahead, Tim. Go ahead.
Well, I was just going to say, yeah, that, you know, there is creativity, but then there's just, like, beating a dead horse, and the horse is dead, and then you run it over, hit it with a car. Scary Movie 5.
Oh, yeah, seriously, like, what the fuck is that?
Yeah.
But you know what I appreciate about that, though, is that the first 3 of them came out in a short period of time, and they just oversaturated the market. It was like every year, you know, and then they went and they waited a while, I think, between 3 and 4, and I don't even know that I've ever seen 4. But now it's been several years as well, so at least they've let a few more movies come out that they can make fun of, and they've kind of not beaten into the ground, you know, like a yearly thing, like a Madden or a Call of Duty, you know, to refer to video game things. But you know what I mean? They have been skipping some some years, and I don't know if they're quality or not. But
yeah, I haven't watched.
At least they're spacing them out more now.
I mean, I'm all about a good comedy and a good laugh, but any movie that you put Lindsay Lohan in with Charlie Sheen, it can't be that good. Seriously. I mean, you take your 2 biggest fucking, you know, spazzes, and you throw them in a movie and say, hey, people are going to buy it. People ain't going to buy shit. And it's the fact that, you know, and I agree a lot with Tim, it's that it's not like people aren't creative. It's just the fact that really nobody uses it. I mean, it's so easy to rehash shit. If I want to write a movie, I'll just go write fucking Saw 8 tomorrow and put some murder scenes in it. And people are fucking, and it'll do $100 million because it's like, okay, hey, look, Saw 8's coming out. It hasn't been out in 4. I didn't have to call it Saw 8. I can just call it Saw and do a rehash of the first one and put some different people in. And instead of putting Danny Glover, I'll put fucking Morgan Freeman in, and I'll fucking sell 100 million copies.
Yeah.
Well, right.
The main problem is the people that have the artistic creativity are not the same people that have the money. And that's the bottom line, because whether it's in movies now, because of the CGI, the special effects, the high salaries that these big AAA list actors command, it's that much harder to get a company that'll actually produce and fund something like that. If it isn't something that's already proven, if it's not something that has already sold and made $500 million, and it's the same way I think in music and in the video game industry. There's so few new IPs that you see out there, and it's because nobody wants to take a risk.
Well, and look at that as just as a social trend too. Like in our economy and our culture, is that like it's this paradigm for infinite growth, and it doesn't exist in the natural universe. I've talked to all of you about this at some point or another about how like at some point Walmart's numbers are not going to go up anymore. At some point, the GNP is not going to go any higher. It's just a law of nature. And so what we're doing is, unfortunately, we're trying to breed people in education and society and the way that we think and the way we approach work and even our relationships, and that if it does not produce maximum, efficacy, if it does not produce X, Y, and Z that we're looking for, that it's essentially worthless. And I think that we're going to see a major shift very soon because we're really hitting the roof of that. We really are, to the point now, like, I'll use reality TV as an example. It's a double-edged sword, right? There's some things, like the boom of reality TV is cool because you see obscure jobs that you've never seen before, but does anyone really need a whole season of catfishing by hand? Like, does anyone need does anyone need the Housewives of New Jersey or whatever this mindless?
Hey now.
Okay, let's hear from Jamie on this because Jamie, you like that shit, but like I can't stand that mindless garbage because to me I need something redemptive out of television. But I'd like to hear from Jamie because you really enjoy that type of stuff.
My wife also loves those type of shows.
Yes.
I don't know why. I don't know why, but I've never had a problem. Like, I mean, there's some reality TV shows where I'm like, no way, I'm not watching that. But like the Housewives shows, like Bravo, like I love Bravo, like the channel, and the Housewives shows are just funny. I mean, you can relate to some of the characters. It's interesting to see, how people live, like with that kind of money and the things that they do with it. Some people just blow it away, but some people do some really cool stuff with it. So it's just, I find it interesting. I find it amusing. I know.
You're addicted to watching other people's lives, right?
Yeah. Well, I don't know about addicted, but it's entertaining.
You're entertained by it, because right now, as we speak, my wife is sitting upstairs simultaneously watching this with earbuds in, in one ear, watching this on a laptop, and then watching The Voice. The singing talent show that's on right now.
But at least she's watching this.
That's true.
Sounds like I've got nobody who cares.
Able to join tonight, and that's great. But she has a similar. She's similar in a lot of the ways, Jamie. There's a few different shows that we watch together that are nice, and then there's a few other ones that I've tried to give a chance, but it's this reality stuff. It's this fashion star. It's this, that sort of thing, and I just can't get into it because I look at it as like, listen, I don't want to watch somebody else's life, what's going on with them. It's not that interesting to me, and then a lot of it just looks like trumped up, things that they're kind of, they're putting together just to obviously cause that.
And,
that's, what I mean? So then you start to feel like, this is kind of like a cheesy soap opera.
It's not authentic,
Yeah, exactly. That's how I felt.
Jim, the worst part is when you start to actually, like, when, let's say she goes and like does something and you keep watching it, it just gets really bad. You're just like you catch yourself. You're like, you watch for another like 10 minutes. You're like, oh my god, what am I doing? And you're like like scurrying to find the remote.
Tim, she used to. Her and I were split up for 3 years. And when we did get back together about 8-9 years ago now, I had never watched any type of program on TV. Methodically every week when it was on Tuesday at 8, whatever. I still to this day don't, but we had the DVR was very new at the time, and we had
the DVR.
And my wife got me into watching Desperate Housewives, and for a season or two I actually didn't mind it, and then after a while it was just the same old plots getting rehashed. It was the same thing. We introduce a new character this year. Somebody dies. Somebody cheats on somebody, and and plus I watched that filth, and I just felt like I needed to go to church afterwards. You know what I mean? I just felt dirty. And for a person who like
evil
drinks, or used to smoke, and I don't watch my words and mince the words that I say or anything like that, for me to feel bad after watching that, it had to be a pretty, a pretty morally horrible show. But
I'm waiting for my reality show. Where's my reality? The real lonely people of Illinois.
Yeah, it could just be a documentary on lonely sad people. Yeah.
I mean, seriously, follow me around for a day. It will be drama. It'll be comedy. You want to kill yourself at the end of the day.
It could go back to that theme. It could be called Tears as Lubricant.
Exactly. Thank God you can't see my hands right now.
Exactly. Okay, so I wanted to screen share this picture. Let's see if I can do it. And it kind of goes in the same. I don't know why I'm using the same word over and over. Let's see if I can find this on here. Poop. Okay, have you guys seen this picture going around on Facebook? I'm going to do the screen share momentarily of the fast food versus like what it actually looks like. Have you guys seen this?
Yeah, that's really old though.
Yeah.
I mean, that's been going around for years.
Oh, it's been around
and
forever.
Years. Yeah, and I mean it's totally true.
So, okay, for our viewers out there, if you can't see it, it shows the advertised picture of a product and then the actual product. And I've even seen specials on this with them talking about how they actually have whole designers come in to sit with little finishing nails and these little squirt guns to add mayonnaise and make it look presentable and shit. But if you really look at this picture, it's really it's really pitiful, the food that we eat. Compared to what it's being advertised as. So I don't know. I want to know what you guys thought was on that.
I can still eat it if I'm drunk.
Well, that's the thing is we'll all eat it, right? But like, why do we continue to eat this shit?
Well, because you know what? In the advertisements, what they do, I mean, they sell it to you. And the fact is, you know, you're fucking hungry. You know, if it's not a fucking
You'll eat it.
You're gonna fucking eat it. Seriously.
Yeah.
You know, you're fucking
don't care what it looks like.
You're driving home one day, or it's fucking lunchtime. You're like, man, I gotta get something. You know, McDonald's is there, Burger King's there. You'll grab a Whopper, jam it down your fucking gullet, and that's it, man. Who the fuck cares?
See, but
As long as
isn't
it
that
tastes good.
Yeah, I'm not sitting there going. Look at that tomato. That is the ripest motherfucker I've ever seen.
But to me, here's the thing, though: isn't that like the rosebud of everything that's wrong with humankind? Is that like the fact that like because we'll all accept it, we'll take whatever they fucking give us.
Just accept it for what it is, yeah. Because me personally,
it's wrong.
Yeah, and me personally, I'm someone who, anyone who knows me and my wife, we both cook, and she's a wonderful cook.
She's
much better
amazing.
than I.
For our viewers,
but
my sister-in-law Carrie is an incredible cook.
And she, and the neat thing is that she's very visual. She not only makes it taste good, but it looks beautiful. I mean, it looks like the picture in the book. You know what I mean? It's like you want to take when she takes a picture of it and puts it on Facebook, you're like, wow, she pulled that from a recipe book. But it's like, nope, that's my plate sitting right in front of me. You know. Yeah. And when I cook, it tastes good, but it doesn't always look perfect. Because I was always kind of in a hurry eating and stuff like that, you know, working jobs like retail and construction, you know. So for me, it was always just kind of, okay, the meal's there, and, you know, I don't really care as long as there's nothing weird growing out of it, you know. But some people are very visual, and, you know, and like you said, you know, to your point, I mean, what is it that, you know, we won't accept at this point? You know what I mean? You see a picture of this and you're getting this.
Like,
me personally, I don't care visually as long as it tastes okay and it doesn't make me sick in my stomach. But many people look at that, and I mean, that's what it's false advertising you're paying for. You know?
Exactly. Is that it's not like it's just hinting at something that's false. It's totally flat out not anything like what they're advertising, not even a little bit. So I guess for me, it's just like socially, when you take that context and expand it to other issues, like where is that line really drawn? And I think that there really is none. It's the same reason why we accept the news media for what it is. I mean, and let's face it, like, you know, we all talk about sensationalist media and how the media will choose to focus on like the tragedy in Boston, which is a legitimate thing, versus like a U.S. airstrike that kills 12 or 13 people and we don't hear about it. And I think like the reality is that what media and advertisement and all these big industry things that guide our behaviors and our perceptions have wrong is that the news media is confused about what they should be reporting because you know, views and ratings are brought in by negative news. That's what we go for, right? Because it's the exception to the rule. The rule is that humanity as a whole is all pretty regular, but that doesn't sell. So I think
we feed off the negative. We feed off the fear. You know what I mean?
That's the whole thing. Is that's not your job as the news media is to just report the negative. It's to report the news in totality. So I felt like if we were actually doing that, people wouldn't have this loss of faith in humanity, which doesn't really exist in my opinion. Because again, these tragedies that happen are the exception, not the rule. Because if they were the rule, then the news would be about the positive things that happen. Because that would be the exception. That would be the thing that sells. Does that make sense?
Absolutely, yeah. And for every one of these things that happens, like yesterday, you know, ultimately there's you know hundreds, if not thousands, that have gone on, you know, in between the last major one, whether it was months or years ago, that you never even heard about. So you have to focus on, you have to play the numbers. Am I not going to go outside now or ever go to Boston again? Absolutely not. I'm not going to avoid it. I mean, I could get out tomorrow, walk across the street, and I mean, just get nailed by a by a bus or something.
That's
I will totally suggest that you never go to Boston. Just my personal opinion.
Well,
Boston's
Sean's personally been to Boston a lot. You think Boston's a shithole, right?
I've been to Boston numerous occasions, and I'm not downplaying everything that happened. I think it's awful and horrible, but everybody that lives in Boston is awful. They're the most rude, ignorant, cock-sucking, motherfucking assholes in the world. I mean,
tell your story about the club and the guy.
How you really feel.
Yeah, I mean, so I'm in Boston, and we're at a club, and it's packed, it's crowded, and this is just a couple years ago, and I walk up to the bar, and the guy turns around and goes, "What the fuck you doing, dude? You trying to pick my fucking pocket?" I'm standing in fucking line.
What do you go into?
I'm standing in fucking line to get a drink. I'm like, dude, what the fuck's your problem? He's like, you want to go? I'm like, dude, if you want to go over me standing fucking behind you, I don't give a fucking rat's ass, man. I mean, this guy's like fucking Billy Badass, and I mean, I'm not the fighting type, but it's like, dude, I'm sitting here trying to fucking go get a couple drinks, and you're gonna fucking sit here and be a badass, and I want to fucking pickpocket your $3.35 an hour job out of your fucking pocket, dude. I'm just here to get a fucking beer.
You failed to mention that when you were standing behind him waiting for a drink, that you were leaning up against him.
You were resting your cock on his
yeah.
And I had my zipper down.
Dick on the leg.
I mean, I had my zipper.
What's going on there?
I mean, in Chicago, it's totally acceptable to have your pants down to your ankles.
Look at my watch, like the next
exactly.
thing.
Woo! It's like, oh, here it is.
Wow. I didn't know that your pants were down, but I was just thinking that you were probably pressed up against this gentleman.
Oh, pants down, boxers down. I mean, I was like fucking mounting the guy like a fucking ball.
That must be a nice advantage of being a woman. Is like okay, everyone take a look at Jamie for a second. Could you ever be mad at that? You know what I mean? What I'm saying is, like, and it's not exclusive just to Jamie. Like, yeah, I get pissed off you all the time because you're my wife. I can't stand you. But
yeah, I tried to get good and mad at her once, man. I just couldn't follow through.
Well, okay, maybe Jamie's an exception to all rules because Jamie's unusually kind and peaceful. But like women in general, like they can get away with shit like that. You would never turn around to a woman and be like, "What the fuck are you doing? Like, are you trying to pickpocket me?" Like, I don't know. It's an unfair advantage. It's not a fair playing field.
I'm just saying that everybody. You know what I'm gonna say? Everybody in Boston's a dick.
Hey, I'm just gonna make the most broad assumption generalization ever.
Dick, cocksucking assholes. And that's it. And it's just how I feel. I mean, because when you fit 20 pounds of shit in a 10-pound bag. That's what you get. And that's what they do there. And I'm not going to come back later on or next week and apologize to everybody in Boston because you're all a bunch of assholes.
Oh.
And that's my word.
What kind of bar did you go into?
It was a predominantly gay bar.
Wait.
Awkward.
Oh, it says the gangsta of love now. I thought it was going to say what I said before, which is I hate everybody. I was going to point out to all of our viewers that Shawn does hate everybody.
It's done for you.
But, yeah. Funny shit.
Or I can write down I hate everybody in Boston. I mean, I can change that if you want.
Don't do that.
Disclaimer, Boston only.
Well, anyways, talking about advertising these fast food pictures. Tim, you said something about a fast food preservative test. What's that all about?
Well, I know this has been circulating too, but you know, if you guys ever want to do an experiment, just go buy a fast food like combo that you'd eat. Find a nice, cool place to put it somewhere in your house and just keep it there for a year and then reopen it up like every month and just take a picture. I think there might be some stuff on YouTube or maybe a picture if you Google images it, but
yeah, I heard about this.
I remember seeing a guy had it for like a year or two and it barely degraded after like a year and after 2 years
no.
it still looked like it was somewhat edible or, you know, something you'd get at like, I don't know. I mean, the worst that you can get out in probably the Midwest is probably a bad batch of, you know, White Castle or maybe some really bad McDonald's. But out here in Arizona, there's a place called Jack in the Box, and no matter what time of day, this shit is always cold and gross. And so, let's say you go by McDonald's, 2 years later, it starts looking like Jack in the Box.
Jack
As
in the
we
Box.
gain more viewers, we'll never have sponsorship from Jack in the Box. But
Womp, womp, womp.
I would say in the
Yeah.
Midwest that like Taco Bell is probably
or anybody in
worse because
Boston.
it's
White Castle's pretty bad.
I
Let me
mean,
see if I can
I
find
actually disagree. I don't think White Castle's as bad as some other places out there. Like I think Taco Bell takes the cake just because they're able to get away with. It's the structure of the taco. I mean, you can get away with really shady, shiesty ingredients. But yeah, okay. So the other thing I heard though too is I heard that human
Here's
bodies
a
are-
quick picture. I just googled it. I don't know how valid it is, but
Yeah, hold on.
day 180, Davy's Happy Meal Project. Looks
That's crazy.
decently normal. But it's all it's all hearsay. That's why I'd say you'd have to do your own test.
Yeah, that's the hard thing is doing your own test because anyone can put captions on shit. But like the thing is unless someone has some weird motive to destroy the fast food industry, a lot of that shit I think it can be totally plausible. And they say now too. Oh shit.
They say, oh shit? Or, yeah, we're still here.
Dude, I just lost my win.
Uh-oh.
That can't be good.
No. Okay. Well, as he was saying, herpes and syphilis is a dangerous disease. It's funny
Gonorrhea.
'cause
That is all.
It is.
got that too. Yeah, gonorrhea, the clap, all of it.
The
I mean,
clap.
it's just and when they came up with the clapper, here he is. He's back. Hello. Or he's
Welcome
not.
back.
Oh, look, I got two pictures of
Are
him.
there two Joes?
Yeah.
That is
Uh-oh.
fucking disgusting. Seriously, if I flick your stupid ass twice.
Double the pleasure, double the.
Seriously, if I'm going
Sometime.
to look at something twice, I'd rather look at Jamie. Why do I have to look at you twice?
That's right.
And now he's talking. I can't hear him. You're muted, Joe. I mean, sir, you're muted.
Can you hear me now?
Now we can hear you. There you go.
Dude, I don't know what the fuck just happened. That was some voodoo gypsy
There's
and shit.
two pictures of you, though.
There's
you need
two
to get
pictures.
rid of the other
Well,
one.
double the pleasure, baby. I don't know how to get rid of the other one. I was trying.
Try harder.
It's gone. It's gone.
Oh, there we go.
Thank God. I was
One of them gave up.
But yeah, they say too now that humans are decomposing slower than they ever have because of all the preservatives in our food. That like cadavers and shit, like they're
I
having
believe
problems
it.
because bodies are they're not decomposing at the normal rate, I guess.
Yeah, I believe that.
Yeah.
I hear you. See, I don't have to worry about it because I don't eat lunch at work. I mean, I just eat like air and
Yeah, you don't.
bubble gum, so it's no big deal for me.
You just don't eat.
I mean, eating's overrated. I mean, eating's for those who want to like live. Why the hell living's overrated too? Seriously.
My wife and I got a membership and started working out at World's Gym last Monday, and man, we were really sore the first week, and now it's getting a little bit better, and we're trying to get the eating and everything in. So this kind of goes back to the whole thing where that we were talking about with the fast food and everything like that, because we're trying to obviously avoid a lot of those type of foods now, and just sort of transition into reading everything again and eating a bit healthier and that sort of thing.
Woo.
And but there's a lot of bad a lot of bad news coming from any type of consistent eating at a Taco Bell, McDonald's, one of those fast food chains.
Man,
Yeah,
but I mean, I'll tell you something. Taco Bell, your $5 box. I mean,
Oh, dude, we used to get that shit all the time at work. Remember that?
How the fuck do you go wrong with that? I mean, who cares if you're gonna die 20 minutes earlier? I don't give a shit less. It cost me $5. I got so much shit.
Drink.
I'm gonna fucking just. God, it's just. I just.
Living
can't
like
express
Lil
it.
Wayne.
Oh yeah.
Overdose.
Dude, that should be the next video on the Surf Dub channel is fucking the glory of the $5 box, and you just be
Oh my God. There's nothing but. I mean, not even a $5 box at Taco Bell. But if you can fucking get a stripper on a hooker on a corner for $5, man, that's a $5 box. You
No,
can't go wrong.
it'll just
No,
be
but
a
you
music
know
video
we
with
should
dropping
do-
money.
If we do an episode on that, we should all get together and get drunk beforehand, or get drunk separately beforehand, and then go and bring
Make
in,
Jamie
unbox
drive.
the $5.
We should have a video
I'm drunk
challenge
24/7, so it really doesn't matter.
What, Tim? What'd you say?
We should have a challenge on a live challenge who can finish the $5 box first.
That's a good idea. Hey, you know what's a good challenge too that I've heard about and I've seen on Painkiller is they say that you cannot eat 6 saltine crackers in 1 minute. It's impossible. You can't produce enough saliva.
Guess what?
Does anyone have any
spoonful of
saltines?
cinnamon.
Next week I'm coming in with some saltines. I'm gonna eat saltines. Fuck,
We have saltines.
I'll eat a fucking box. I'll eat a
Right
box.
now,
Of,
Joe.
All right, I'll do
Do
it.
it.
I'll eat a box of Triscuits in a minute. Seriously.
I'm gonna down like a half a sleeve of those things. Man. I'm like Popeye with his spinach.
I'll be like, yeah,
Or
exactly.
goldfish. I love goldfish.
I will fucking show them that that's bullshit.
Sick saltines.
But do you have to like chew and like swallow?
Now I want to see Jamie put it in your mouth, Joe.
All right, Jamie, come downstairs real quick.
No, really?
Yeah, fuck yeah, put it in my mouth. Tim requested it. Why not?
Oh no,
Come on.
everything.
All right,
goes.
forget it. It's too.
I'm upstairs. I don't want to move.
God damn it! I'm dropping crackers all over the fucking place.
You fucking
Pick 'em
slob.
up.
Oh, he's cheating.
All right, hold on. So someone needs to get a timer out. Who's got a timer on their phone?
Here, I'll get it.
Just screen share a timer.
Oh.
Yeah, too
Jamie,
bad I
just-
don't know how to use my phone because I'm too old.
I gotta watch with a second hand.
Just
All right.
let me know. Just let me know when we're at like 30 seconds, and then at like 10 seconds.
Okay.
Why
So,
don't we just cut
okay.
off
Can
Mississippi?
you guys see that there's 6 crackers there? 3 and 3. You want to see
I
that?
can't count that high. Can you take your shoes off?
All right, Jimmy. Let me know when to go.
Okay. Okay, hold on.
Call the shit poop.
I'm trying to do them 2 at a time.
Okay, ready, set, go.
Yeah, you lost half a crack on the ground. You.
Oh, he dipped it in water.
I'm gonna work.
After like the second one, you're just like, fuck my life. This is not
That's
gonna
enough, bitch.
45
That's enough.
seconds.
Dude, you're not even at 30 seconds. Come on, jam it down. Like you're sucking a cock.
Just
Clear the
relax
skin
your
fluid.
throat, man. Relax your throat.
30 seconds, halfway.
You know you have to have them down too. You have to swallow.
You can swallow.
I know you can swallow. Trust me. You
It's the first time that Jamie's
You can
ever saying to Surf swallow.
Remember when you're done, you gotta open your mouth so we have proof.
Exactly. Stick your tongue out.
You're
Oh.
not gonna do it. 15 seconds, Joey. Or God damn it.
I love the spousal support.
How many
though.
more
Swallow,
crackers do
honey.
we have?
Just swallow, honey.
Not even close.
6, 5,
You're fucking lame.
4, 3, 2,
Suck
1.
Fuck you, Larry, too hard.
Dude, I can eat a fucking steak dinner in 30 seconds. Seriously,
It's
if you ever saw my brother, you'd understand why I can eat a steak dinner in 30 seconds. That fucker would scarf it down from me in about 10.
Dude, that was intense.
Well, it's like the spoonful of cinnamon. Everybody does that.
Who's got a spoonful of cinnamon? Why don't you fuckers try that? That
No.
saltine shit looks easier than it is.
No,
Or
I've
harder
tried
than it is.
saltine a few times. It doesn't work out.
Dude,
It'll work.
Or drink a gallon of milk. It's impossible to drink a gallon of milk in like.
I can believe the
How long?
gallon of milk thing.
Yeah.
It's 128 ounces of fluid, man. That's
I can
not,
probably
you
use
know.
skim milk. And
I mean, I can do a gallon of beer in like 12 seconds.
we should really do our next week. We should do
That's
Edward
weird.
40 hands and see. I mean, it's a 2-hour show pretty much. We can finish it within.
That'd be awesome.
4 minutes. We can finish it in about 4 minutes.
all right, does everyone want to do Edward 40 hands? But, like, Shawn, you're going to flat out win, so we might as well give the trophy to Shawn. Okay, little story about Shawn. When I first started hanging out with Shawn outside of our job, he came over to my studio, and I got some beers. And, like, he had, like, 4 beers in, like, 20 minutes. It was fucking crazy. And he wasn't even trying hard. He was just drinking, like, his natural self. And, like, Shawn has an unusual capacity for beer.
He's used to it opening the throat.
I do. Yeah, if I was to show you what I have sitting in front of me, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. This is number 10.
And
Nice.
how long have you been
since
drinking?
the show started, or
Right,
just
right before the
since your
show
first
started.
break?
I've been making a
Oh,
6-pack
wow.
for 2 weeks.
And here's the thing, though, is that Shawn's not like a raging alcoholic. Okay,
Like a
but suspecting
vagina,
of
I'm
it.
drinking water.
I've drank
Okay.
almost a full bottle of wine. There's only like a half of.
I mean, I am going to go upstairs and beat something. It's not my wife, though.
Oh my god.
Well, that's why you're divorced, you know.
Exactly. Exactly.
No, but seriously,
Gotta go flog the dolphin.
the six crackers is not easy to do. Like I saw that on Painkiller or something, and I was like, "Come on, pussy!" I was doing what you guys were doing, and it's a lot harder. As soon as you put those first two in your mouth, you instantly know that you're not going to win. You instantly know it's an uphill battle. You can't.
Well, what if you put all 6 in your mouth at the same time?
Dude, we'll fucking bring him on next week, and you try.
Yeah, I'll
Call
try.
me
Dude,
Sasha Bailey.
I'll go get you. Give me a bunch of shit to do. I'll do it.
So next week, let's
What's
do some of
Edward
that
40
shit.
hands though? Too.
Oh, Edward 40
okay.
hands is. Well, Tim, why don't you explain since you brought it up?
I've
Well,
been
it's
dying to
quite
ask that for
easy.
10 minutes.
Traditionally, you would take duct tape and you tape
Tape it to your hands.
the two 40-ounce malt liquors around, usually a Mickey's or like a Magnum.
Or like
and
a
you
Colt,
tape it
Colt
around your
45
hands.
or whatever that is.
Oh.
Until you finish it, you can't remove the duct tape. But I
Can't
mean,
we
we don't
just-
need the duct tape.
Can't we just
'cause
do
have
something that
discipline
tastes good?
now. I mean, you can pick whatever you want.
You can pick whatever you want. We're adults now, but like in the college, high school years,
That was
like
like
Tim
how
said,
you
it was
did
always like it was like Colt 45 and like fucking like
Okay,
more
I'm
I'll
not
go with the
or something.
Mickeys, man. we used to drink that.
I'm not drinking with my dad, so.
The grenades.
Yeah.
So
But yeah,
are we planning on this show to be 7 minutes next week, or?
I don't know. But I mean, drinking 240s for me is going to take at least a couple hours. Shawn, you'll definitely be done first. If I were to predict, it would be Shawn would be first, Tim would be second, Jim would probably be third, I would be fourth, and if Jamie was on again, she would be dead last.
Jamie would never finish. She wouldn't even finish the first 40. She didn't finish about
come on.
12. Come on.
Come on.
40 ounces is a whole lot of alcohol.
We'll give her. She'll
I
have
drink
two
a lot of
32-ounce
water a day.
non-malt liquor. We'll see how far she gets.
Jamie, how many ounces of water do you drink every day? Tell everyone.
40.
I drink like
120.
16 cups of water a day.
How much, Shane?
16 cups of water a day.
Holy shit.
So that's
How
like
many ounces?
128 ounces. It's a gallon.
Yeah.
Do you ever leave the bathroom?
Yeah.
I mean, seriously, because I mean,
Yes.
like if I'm not drinking beer, I drink a lot of water, and I'll go through
Yeah.
like probably seriously. I mean,
Funny because I've
it's
never
like-
seen you drink water at work. So
No, I mean it's like that's all. I mean it's like it's the total polar opposite for me. It's like if I don't have beer at home, then I'll just fucking drink water, and I'll drink water for beer like 1 for 1 almost. So I'll drink 6 to 8 things of water. And,
Yeah.
I mean it's worse than fucking drinking beer. I might as well just fucking stand there and fucking piss for 6 hours because that's what's gonna happen.
Well, until your body gets used to it, like you pee a lot, but then your body kind of gets acclimated to it. And
When does your body get used to it? Because I've been drinking a lot of water for about going on 10 years now since I've been in sales.
When you're
And-
78.
And like I literally stopped drinking like multiple cups of coffee in the morning and cut it down to like 1 and sometimes not even a cup, just
Yeah.
because I visit the bathroom so frequently.
Yeah.
And I mean, don't get me wrong, I'm probably going through 100 to 150 ounces of water a day
Yeah.
when I'm doing that in an 8 or 10 hour day. But it catches up to me like in the morning. It's slow. It's like maybe every hour I got to go, and then by the afternoon it's like every like 40 minutes. And by the time I'm getting out of work and coming home, it's like I'm pissing like. It's like the ride home from work. I'm like, oh man, I went right before I left, and then like as soon as I get home, I like run in the house. I'm like, I gotta pee.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I've
just
never
gotta-
done it, but,
You
Jim,
gotta
I-
like space it.
I will tell you one thing, and working retail, it's awesome. One word, depends. Thank you.
Oh my god.
depends on what. But so one thing I've always
Yeah.
wondered,
Diabetes.
for the sake of non-argument, assuming whatever your deity or God is, if you could ask God or whatever your religious figure is at the end of your life one question, what would it be? And I will start with that. I always thought at any job I ever took, I always wanted to ask how much money
Is it
did
a website?
how much money did I make taking a shit? How often was I paid while taking a shit at work? And Shawn could testify it was like the first hour of my day every day. at work.
You're ridiculous. You're ridiculous
$85,000.
with that.
Well, it's not like I have
you
unusual
hold on a
bowel
minute?
movements. Let's get TMI with everyone. It's not like I have unusual bowel movements. It's just that like it's
No, it's just
You
consistent.
can
every
shit
fucking
quicker.
day. It's
Let's leave it at that.
It's consistent.
called
yeah. Everyone here can testify like that. Like everyone's got like a time a day, like for the most part.
My whole thing, if I was to talk to my deity, it would be like, why?
That would be your question. It's
Just
like,
why?
Why?
Why? It would be. I mean, it would be like the longest explanation, or he would just disappear and say "fuck you." I can't answer that. Next, he'd be like, "Seriously, you want $1 million?" I would just be like, "Why?"
Shawn's deity, by the way, is Willie D from whatchamacallit, Ghetto Boys.
Willie D from the Ghetto Boys, yes.
Dude, the thing is, I think our audience and most people in general are undereducated about the Ghetto Boys because I'm pretty into hip hop and I didn't know much about them until you. And that song about that Willie D does, what was the one that you really got me into where he's talking about bitches or whatever? It's fucking so funny.
I mean, Willie D's first album is called Controversy, and he has everything on there from "Fuck the KKK" to "Kinky," which if you put 2 and 2 together, you can figure it out. Put the fucking gun away. I mean, he's all over politically, conscious, and everything. I mean, if you haven't heard the album, if you haven't heard the album, go to eBay. You could buy it for $85, to be honest with you, because it's out of print and it's a great album. I mean, it's
you have it, right? You put it on an MP3 for me because I think I've listened to it.
Yeah, I have it. When I gave you that MP3 player, yeah, I did put it on there. I mean, it's a great album. I mean, you think about it, it's back in 89 before he even became a Ghetto Boy, and it's just.
Dude, that album is so crazy. It's over the top from anything that NWA or anyone else, in my opinion. It's it's so far advanced for its time. It's crazy.
Yep, it's got. I mean, it's got. I need some pussy. Like I said, Kinky. I mean, it's everywhere. I mean, if you listen to it, you're like, wow. And he's very political. He's very conscious of what's going on in the world. And you're talking about something that's almost 25 years old. You know?
Yeah. What the fuck?
I mean, I don't know what the hell just happened, but I mean, I just saw things switch and Jamie disappeared, Joe disappeared. I don't know.
Gosh.
Tim just took a picture.
It's taking pictures.
Yeah. My dick just fell off. It's regular. I mean,
Where did Surf go?
For hip hop, if you don't know the Ghetto Boys and you don't know Scarface and you don't know Willie D, they're like the Texas of hip hop. I mean, back when in the late '80s, early '90s, I mean, they were the ones who really set it off and really put Texas on the map. And if you don't know it, I would suggest you go back and listen to it and really
educate yourself, motherfucker.
No, really. I mean, if you don't know it, then you don't know shit about hip hop. If you're sitting here and you're listening to Lil Wayne and you're listening to fucking any of the shit that's out today, Rick Ross and stuff like that, then you need to really go back and listen to it, because I guarantee you any of those people are going to say there's like the NWA or the Ghetto Boys or the Scarface was their, that's what drove them to where they are today. And if that's just my opinion. Another rant by Shank.
It's one of those things though where like it's almost always the underknown and the undervalued that are really propelling humankind forward, right? I mean, look at Tesla and what's his name, Edison. Look at Steve Jobs and Bill Gates. Look at it's evident to me, at least socially, all the time that like the real movers and shakers are the guys who are, like Jim said, when it comes to reproducing shit, like artists are not the creators are not the guys who are in control of the money, right? So, to me, it's always originators are always undervalued. The people who are making meaningful change are undervalued and underknown.
I totally agree.
On a quick side note, too, you mentioned the Edison and Tesla thing. Our dad, who's staying with me and been a semi-permanent guest over here for about going on 5 months now, he watches a lot of shows, Discovery and History Channel and everything, but he actually got me into a good one that my wife and I are watching now, The Men Who Built America. It's a 4-part series that was on, I think, History. And it was really cool because I remember going through school and just kind of glancing over a lot of what happened during the Industrial Revolution, and there wasn't a whole lot of detail, So this was a really neat educational, way of kind of learning a lot of really neat things about our country's history, So it was just amazing to see some of it, and we still have a couple episodes to go. So
I wanted to check that out, but I haven't yet.
It's excellent if you get it's only 4 parts, and they're a couple hours each. You cut the commercials down, they're about an hour and a half, I think. So good stuff, though. Good stuff.
Yeah.
When we're talking about good stuff, I'll go back to what Tim talked about 2 weeks ago last week. If you haven't started watching Jericho, awesome show. Just I mean, you know, if you like The Walking Dead, Jericho's the same thing. It's about post-apocalyptic, and you know, it's worth the view. It's definitely on Netflix, and seriously, these days, who doesn't have Netflix?
Jim doesn't.
I actually still don't, and it's really not. There's no money impairment. Honestly, I'm not wealthy, but honestly, I can flip the $8 a month. I have 4 or maybe 5 smart TVs in the house, a tablet, a computer, two PCs, and a laptop. So I have no reason whatsoever with Wi-Fi in the house and all the smart TVs that I have that have internet, connectivity or whatever. I just simply am kind of lazy and have not signed up for it because I have movies that I bought on DVD that I still haven't watched. I bought the movie Warrior because Dad came over by you guys and watched it like 3 months ago and said it was good. And I had wanted to see it, and I picked it up somewhere, and I've had it for like a month and still haven't watched it. So I guess I feel like if I sign up for Netflix, it'll just be another one of those underutilized things that I pay for.
I find it hard to believe that Netflix would ever be underutilized.
The thing is, too, is it just depends on like the way you approach media and shit in general. It's like Jim, you're always the kind of guy like if you have an interest in that game or whatever, like you'll go out and get it. A lot of people aren't. Well, we talked about this with video games and stuff too. Like some people just aren't as much predisposed to wanting to own something. And Netflix is kind of like that because sometimes you'll be really into something that's on Netflix, and then their license or their agreement runs up with them, and then it's not on there 3 months later, which is kind of bullshit. But I love Netflix, dude. I think it's great. And it's funny when you said like I have all these smart TVs and tablets and computers and shit, and all these kids. It's like Shawn has all that shit, and it's just Shawn, which I think is funny. Shawn lives alone and has every fucking piece of technology you can imagine. It's kind of weird. I think it's just
damn fucking straight.
It's weird.
In my case, it would probably be a good family benefit because we have cable, and I only pay for the 2 cable boxes, the one upstairs in the main living room, the one downstairs. And to tell you the truth, if my dad wasn't here, I probably wouldn't even have that one. But that would be nice because then anybody could watch TV to some degree, I guess, shows, whatever the case is, movies in any of the rooms.
And they've always said too that if you only are signed up for one stream, that like if I'm watching Netflix on the Xbox and then Jamie goes and tries to watch it on the laptop, that it won't let you do it from the same account. But it's bullshit because Jamie and I do that all the time.
You get 2 streams, I thought.
You can't do 3. Trust me, I have.
You get 2.
Yeah, you can get 2.
2. I used to always hear it was just 1, but we've done 2 plenty of times.
Yeah, it's 2 and it's fine. When you get to that 3rd stream, they're like, "Fuck you, bastard."
Yeah.
Because I mean, I have the kids that want to be watching one, want to be watching the other, and I want to watch something. I'm fucked because 2 little kids
so you have to go back to filming yourself masturbate.
Well, then I just go ahead and go to my web browser and watch my internet.
Then I just gotta watch my Hulu.
Yeah, then I watch my Hulu. Yeah, exactly.
HBO Go. I just want to put in there real quick, guys. I received a phone call. If you guys noticed, I was muted. But John Kesper, the guy that we were talking about earlier, I gave him this free movie site, and he just went on it and somehow got a virus like the first second and called me freaking out. Story of the life. I was like, it is the easiest thing ever. There's a few things they trip you up that are kind of like ads that look like they're real things, but he was like, dude, I got this like Trojan horse. My anti-spyware is freaking out.
My computer froze up and started smoking.
They wanted me to download a Flash player. I'm like, honestly, like you just go to the site and then you click what you want to do. You bypass the ad that pops up and then you hit play. I don't know what else to tell you.
This is for our viewers. This is the guy we were talking about earlier that always gets the short end of the stick. It doesn't matter what he does. It seems like shit doesn't work out.
I got rogue spyware. That's like level 11 spyware, like the worst spyware ever.
I didn't touch her and I got fucking herpes, man. How the fuck does that happen?
That's
just a bunch of gay porn everywhere. Goat.se.cx or whatever, the classic.
That's funny shit, dude. Funny shit. Well, I have to ask, we've been going 2.5 hours. What do you guys think? Should we keep going? Do we call it, or what do you guys want to do?
I probably got to call John back, but...
Okay.
I don't mind, because, I mean, I like talking and listening and...
I'm good, man.
But if we do keep going, though, I'm going to have to excuse myself for a minute because that water's catching up with me. So.
Oh yeah, everyone's taking multiple
Well,
breaks. Feel free.
that's why I have the overlay, Jim. Man, you just put the overlay on, you go and do what you need to do, and
I was trying to
that's
figure out how
super
to do that before, and then I clicked something, and I don't know, it didn't work out as well as I thought it would in my head.
You know,
so.
it's kind of funny because we went through less subjects this week than last week, and you know we're already almost an hour longer than last week.
Right, yeah. Well, it just goes to show sometimes that nobody wants to fucking talk to each other because I don't know about you guys, but I hate every one of you.
Well, I swear to God, I fucking hate every one of you guys too. Just because you fall in fucking line with everything in life, I hate everybody. And it's
I like as you say, it switches your icon to I hate everyone.
Yeah, I mean, it's nothing personal. I don't personally hate you guys. Well, I do. I really do.
I always liked in the Jim Carrey's The Grinch when he's sitting there at the beginning and he's talking about how he hates everybody and he pulls out the phone book and he's like, I hate you, and he's going 4 or 5 and then he goes down and he says something, he's like, loathe entirely. Now I just love that entirely. Change it up a little bit, So.
That's right. Well, I love everyone entirely here. Okay, so one thing that was on my mind that I see all the time online I want to talk about is it just me, or like, okay, Facebook has really changed over the past couple of years, right? So it's like memes are like much bigger than they've ever been. But another thing that I've noticed is so huge now is everybody fucking posts every single time they lift a weight or go for a jog or fucking do anything that physically benefits them. Now, let me say that I have no problem with working out and doing stuff good for your body, whatever. But is it just me, or is it one of those things that everyone has like kind of like the super ego about? Like all of a sudden they do something good for their body and they have to fucking brag about it online. It's not even just like an update. It's like, did this, bro? What are you doing with your life? Like implying I'm not doing anything because I'm not fucking.
I'm gonna tell you something. I'm gonna tell you something. Today, I had a banana and an apple, and I did not post it on Facebook.
You didn't take pictures of the food? That's what drives me crazy.
I did not. I was going to take pictures of my empty banana thing, and I'm not going to tell you how to do it. I didn't really eat the banana, but we're not going to talk about that. We'll do that at a later date. And an apple. I mean, those are 2 pieces of fruit that I did personally consume some way today. I never posted on Facebook. I didn't think it was that important for everybody to know that, hey, Shawn had a banana and an apple. Doesn't fit in between the burrito I had, but hey, I still had a banana and an apple.
I'll be the first to admit that I post irrelevant shit that only I find important on Facebook all the time, i.e., like my YouTube channel, like nobody gives a fuck about it. Like the 5 people who care about it are on the show, But it's weird. It is a hypocrisy thing because I'm like, get really irritated by other people's shit that I'm like, nobody fucking cares about your goddamn. Yet you ran 3 miles. Like, shut up. Just do it for you. Like, what the fuck does everyone need to know about that for?
Well, but I think people do it to kind of to brag a little bit, but to kind of get that affirmation from other people.
And I think you're right. Like, I see that side of it, but I'm a hypocrite about it because I'll do that if I want the affirmation, but when other people do it, I'm like, get out of my news feed. Yeah, like I don't know what that is, but I don't like that about me. But it's a truth. Like and I think it's because it's the same thing. Like you'll never see me like take a picture of one of my tattoos and post it for everyone to see. Because to me, it's just a ploy for attention. Like I don't care what your sleeve is. To me, it's cool and conversation. If me and you were sitting down and you tell me about it. Or otherwise, I don't know. For me, that's just how I feel about it. I guess I judge it, and I know that I shouldn't judge because judging is shitty. But I judge it because I wouldn't do it. And I think that's not a good thing, but it's just the reality.
So when I posted my tattoo after I got it, you're like, fucking douchebag.
It's funny, but like I feel differently about different people too, because the thing about you is it's not a jab at you. You're 10 years older than me. You're in your mid-30s, and
oh, dude,
you behave.
I'm way past my mid-30s. I was in my mid-30s about 3 years ago.
Okay, well, middle late 30s, whatever. But you treat Facebook completely different than my generation does, So I don't. It sounds funny, but I don't measure you to that same standard that I would like my peers. Like the people that I see every day with a different fucking profile picture of themselves.
Oh
whatever
God,
the fuck they're doing.
Selfies. I can't.
Yeah, and the duck lips and shit. Like I'm like, come on, like, are you so vain that you This is what the world needs to know about every fucking day is the new angle. You took yourself wearing your new sweater
or the different
your
filters and like.
Look at my
what about
Abercrombie
this shit?
sweater.
Yeah, and what is this shit with girls too? They're like, don't judge me as a slut, but I'll let my tits hang out in every fucking picture. Like I don't get that either. Where it's like I'm a lady, but I don't know. I guess I'm not on board with that type of like obsessive neediness. It feels like a neediness. It feels like it's coming through the newsfeed. I don't know.
Well, I mean, I agree. I mean, Facebook. I mean, I guess Facebook's more than that than Twitter. And then like MySpace was, I guess, even more. It's that it's. I mean, it's if you're an attention whore and you have 7 friends, then every one of your 7 friends is going to see your boobs hanging out, and probably your 7 friends are probably dudes because you're sitting here like, dude, let me push him up. Yeah, look at that, baby. Cleavage. And I mean, seriously, if someone sends me a friend request and I see fucking titty, accept. Seriously.
Dude, but you are the exact market. You're the exact audience for every spam mail ever sent. Like I saw this spam mail the other day.
Do you want to grow 3 inches in a month?
Yeah, Shawn, you couldn't fucking click that shit fast enough. But I got this spam email the other day that said like, secret scientists discovered at Harvard you can control women's minds, and it's like this mind control drug. And I'm like, this is something Shawn would click on for sure.
I got it right here. It's called alcohol. It's right here.
That's true.
Exactly.
It's true.
Or as Rick Ross would say, it's a little ecstasy. Right?
Or fucking Robitussin or whatever the fuck those idiots are doing.
No, that's just little Dwayne.
Dwayne. So Tim, what do you think about bros and lifting? Because I think that it's really prevalent amongst bros to be like, yo, bro, at the gym getting my swell on, versus like people who are doing it actually for fitness. For our viewers, Tim has a major in kinesiology. He does physical therapy type shit. At least that's what his degree is for. Correct me if I'm wrong, but Tim is an all-around healthy guy. So when you see Tim post up about workouts and stuff, I respect it because it's usually informational and it's not just like, hey, look at me flexing in the mirror. So I don't know what your thought was about that.
Well, I mean, you probably I don't like people that always talk about like I'm currently at the gym, I'm doing this, I'm doing that. I mean, I'd rather go for motivational videos that will strike people. C.T. Fletcher, this really nasty, awesome black guy who just, for the worst, he grew up in Compton. His favorite, he didn't look up to Arnold Schwarzenegger. He looked up to like drug dealers and rappers, and then he became a really good lifter. And actually, in one of his videos, to get to know him, his meal was like 4 meals a normal person would get at McDonald's, and he actually had like I think quadruple bypass surgery or something. But he has his own gym, and I mean, just there's motivational garbage out there. I'm actually currently making an 8-tracks mix, which is different than a normal mix, which is usually guys like angry stuff like DMX, girls like techno, like Sandstorm, David Guetta, stuff like that, Britney Spears, whatever. But I'm looking for motivational speeches mixed in with scores. So you'd start with a motivational speech, and that's when I actually sent you, Joe, the part 1 where
do you really want it?
Yeah. So that one really touches me because if you guys don't know,
I absolutely love
since I've came here, when I moved in with a girlfriend, we have a cat. We actually have 2 cats now. We had a huge haboob season, which is actually dust storm. I actually have mild asthma as well, and so it touched me. But I was going to start with that one, and then have scores from movies and different composers and things that are just motivational in general. I might throw in like "Heart of a Champion" by Nelly, but for the most part, you got your Braveheart, you got your Gladiator, you have X, Y, and Z, whatever gets you. And it's going to be universal. It's going to be for running. It's going to be for lifting. It's going to be for just sheer motivation, guys, girls, any generation, any age.
See, and
You
I
know,
think that's the difference between you and the other guys that I see post, because the other guys I see post is it's very much a vanity, egocentric type thing. Look at me, look at what I'm doing, I'm cool, this is like some type of social status. Whereas with you, it's like the legitimate pursuit of something bigger than yourself. And I think that that type of stuff is really cool. Like that video that you shared, the Do You Really Want It? And I think I showed that to you too, Jim.
Yeah, what was that? Was that Adrian Peterson or something when he was your?
I mean, it was just a college player from South Carolina just training,
Oh, okay.
a smaller school, and it was like one of the spokesperson, an older guy, and it's just a little tidbit like that. Another video I posted too was this guy that had a neurological disease, and they said he'd never walk again, and pretty much he started doing.
Yoga,
he
right?
started getting yoga, and
I saw that.
after I think it was like 9 months or a year or something, he finally just got the mechanics down, had the mental capacity, and he just started to walk, and he got to the point to where he continued, and now he's like speed walking, and it's more than just working out, it's more than just having fun, being the strongest guy in the gym. It isn't anything about like I want to be bigger than that guy and you show it up. It's just, you have to really push yourself. I'm not going to play this angle, but when the Boston thing happened, I was at work. I didn't even know until like 3 p.m. Arizona time. So it was like 6 p.m. Boston time, East Coast. And I really didn't know until I started watching the news later that night, and I was in the gym, and I was like, I was planning on running 2 miles, and I ended up running like 4 miles, and 1 mile was uphill. I did a 5% incline, and it was just due to the fact that I'm sitting there, and it's touching me, and I'm like, hey, look, these people ran all this and are during this hardship. What excuse do I have? I can cut it short. I can, do whatever I want to do. I can go to bed, whatever.
See, and that's what I find
just decided
awesome.
to go a lot more.
I think that's great. I think that's like next level shit. Like, no offense, every single person I ever met in Arizona when I came to visit you, all those bros, every single fucking one of them belong on Jersey Shore or some other mindless bullshit. Because to me, it's like all of their posts I see about the gym and everything is always like, look at me, bro. Look at me, bro. And it's like it's that macho meathead, testosterone-filled mindless bullshit. Whereas like I feel like what you're doing at least is it inspires me. It's profound. It's one of those things where like. It's more than just surface level. It's more than just room temperature. It's there's something behind it, and I appreciate that. So,
but it's still fun to be that way. To play that typical douchebag sometimes is kind of funny.
And and that's the thing. Like
when it comes
playing
down
is
to it,
one
there's
thing.
people that truly believe it.
Yeah, there's like a lot of the people I see, at least maybe it's just my news feed, but the majority of people I see posting about that shit are that dude. They're not just playing that role. Like that's them, and like that to me, I don't know, that sucks.
But you know what? I mean, I'm kind of, great that, it doesn't matter what level you're at. It's just you got to go do it. Jim, great that you did Gold's Gym. Jason Cho and Dane Pearson are good friends of mine, and they have a membership there too. And, I mean, that was a gym that I love. I wish we had it here. It's in Phoenix. It's too far for me to travel. But
It's a nice place, too, because it's one of those I went there about 10 years ago with my good friend Dan, and we had a membership for a year or two. And even at their peak time, they're really not crowded, and it's kind of like an old school gym, too. It's one of those things that, like, I don't know, it just looks and feels like just an old time. It's not like an export. Looking at there's like the roid guys, and there's like, the people that are just kind of hanging out and talking, and I don't know, it's just, like I said, we enjoy it, so it's
Jamie and I
it's a
need to
nice
go
place.
there because we've been looking for a place, and for our viewers out there, my wife and I both went on the HCG diet, and we both lost a ton of weight. I went from like 225 to 178. I did 2 cycles. I did a 40-day cycle, and then I did a 20-day cycle, which was really I only did like 10 days of it. So in basically 50 days, I went from 225 to 178 on HCG. And since losing all that weight, I used to lift a lot before, and I'm trying to get back into it now, but it's just been hard. It's one of those things where like reestablishing that lifestyle habit of going to the gym every day is a tough thing to do once you've been out of the habit for.
It is. It's different, and if you guys ever want, because we're doing it together, they're open 5 in the morning till 11 at night. They have daycare there for $1 an hour, and it'd be a good thing to do, and I mean it's close by and everything as well, and I think that we would all benefit from it, because obviously Carrie and Jamie could kind of go off and do some of their things. They have a lot of nice classes there, Zumba and things like that, so like I said, it would definitely be a good idea.
Shawn looks totally fucking bored. Shawn's never worked out a day in his life.
Hey, I work out about 5-6 times a day. We just want to
12-ounce curls.
Exactly.
12 ounces has been a little generous. I think it's the repetitions that are burning the calories.
Oh, there's something burning.
I'm not talking about his masturbating. I'm talking about the beers.
Oh,
12-ounce curls.
I was definitely thinking.
I wasn't weighing his ding-a-ling there,
Oh.
or lack of.
We're not, well, I don't know. I mean, we're not
Shawn,
that close. I don't know.
You would know this. What's the technical term when it actually goes in? Is it just called an innie, or what?
It's just an innie, or inverted. Yeah. Oh,
inverted.
Women like to call it inverted, but if you blow on your finger, it's like a balloon and it'll pop out. See, that's how it is. Yeah, exactly.
Can you show us? Show us. I dare you. Confirm with a laugh. Okay, cool.
Done.
All right, guys. Well, we're almost at 3 hours here, so I think I'm gonna call it. But yeah, we've got plenty of topics for next week. I hope everybody enjoyed the show. We had a great time entertaining you guys. We got up to like 11 or 12 viewers this week, so bravo for us.
Yay!
Fantastic.
But,
the word's gonna get out.
But yeah, that's right. So and look for us too. I'll send a link too. But I think we're gonna advertise on PKA, and we'll have more about that on the channel. But everyone have a good night, and we'll catch you next time.
Later.
Bye.
Peace. Night, everybody. See you next week.